Requesting permission for launch. Yeah. Pro show. Yes, sir. Explaining entertainment, keeping them ahead of the culture. Good, that's right. Go for launch in 3, 2, 1. Here goes, sir. Start the countdown.
He's been cited by IGN, The Quartering, Timcast, The Daily Wire, Bounding into Comics, and even Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Disney insider WDW Pro recently speculated on.
Time and time again, he's broken big entertainment news live on the air.
I've been following WDW Pro and his track record for years. If you want to find out what's on the horizon for theme parks, Pro is where you go.
He's like the honey badger. He just keeps scooping and scooping and scooping. He's like the honey badger. He just keeps scooping and scooping and scooping. All right. All right. All right. He's like the honey badger. He just keeps scooping and scooping and scooping. All right. All right. He's like the honey badger. All right. All right.
Man, that Pro guy, he got more answers than Corn Pop. I tune in every day right here from the Oval Office. Sniff hair and find out what Pro has to say every day.
Quick, Cheney, we gotta put away the Legos and get in the big boy chair. It's time to listen in to the Pro Show, my favorite show every single day.
I did not have relations with anybody during the Pro Show.
It's Pro. He's gonna be huge.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las puertas. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just 2 minutes, the lighting at the Magic Kingdom will dim for the performance of the Pro Show. We hope you enjoy and have a magical, truthful time. For the safety of others, please, no flash photography. And welcome to Provision 3D.
Alright everyone, put on your comfy glasses. I'm going. Shut up now. I'm so excited.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun. From the redwoods of California to the hills of Tennessee to the Rockies in the Sunshine State and Maine with that bright and shining sea. From coast to coast in North America, it's time for your host with the most, bringing you all the entertainment news that should be fun. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the WDW Pro Show!
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck! 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 Suck!
And the Disney stock just keeps going down. Make it my name.
All right, folks, welcome. What a way to get started. We've got a special Pro Show live for you back at the normal time. We're here on a Thursday at 5 p.m., making sure the world has fun again. Analyzing entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve as we always do. Happy to see so many of you out there as we are nearing 300 already in the audience, even despite having a special show when folks don't know that we're here. But you, yes, you, I'm talking to you. No, not that fellow next to you. You can make all the difference in the world by clicking the like button, sharing, subscribing, and putting this out onto your favorite social medias. I'd like to welcome aboard right now someone who will be our stand-in producer for the day, unless a particular Mexican Iron Man were to show up. We'll see if that happens. But Vash, welcome aboard, sir. Welcome to the co-pilot seat. Happy to have you for this special. Jonas unable to make it tonight, but we are going to have a lot of fun. And Slade Wilson, I'm sure, will be all right, folks. Don't worry. Slade is going to be okay. He'll survive without Jonas. But Vash, how are you tonight?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm in the producer's role, but this time on a much bigger platform. So this is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. That's right. Don't press all the buttons, not the glowing red one, which happens to be the button that Disney continues to press. Folks, let's play it again because it's going to be the theme of this evening as we dissect what's going on with Disney, Lucasfilm, and the brand new Kathleen Kennedy trilogy because she just can't get enough of them.
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck! 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 Suck!
And that is going to be, I think, the theme extraordinaire coming up. But we have a panel extraordinaire, and we would be remiss not to bring them on rapidly. So here we go. Let's get started, folks. Welcoming to the stage for the very first time in a while, but not the first time forever in this channel, a man who goes without any kind of, well, shall we say, accolades that are not well-deserved. It is, from Echo Base Network, Nick. Nick, welcome aboard, sir.
Might help if I unmute my microphone.
It is a little bit of a you gotta have it unmuted. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure being here as always, Pro. Looking forward to today's show. It's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely.
Thanks so
and
much for joining
also
us.
a VI Pro member who has shown herself highly capable behind the mic, ready to share her golden insights. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Red Tigress.
Hi, Pro. Thanks for the invite.
It's a pleasure to have you on, Red Tigress. We were excited to give you an invite. And folks, don't forget that we will have a member exclusive live stream following this one. You don't have to go anywhere. It will automatically change over to a member exclusive live stream. If you're not yet a member of the channel and you'd like to be a part of that, we'll make sure you stick around. And last but certainly not least, a rising star who already was in a stellar place, a constellation of success, you might say, the former and current founder of Bounding into Comics and the current editor-in-chief of thatparkplace.com, where viewership is exploding, folks, as the news continues to break at this man's fingertips. Please welcome Jon F. Trent to the show today.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you, John. Happy to have you. John, you have been working overtime to keep up with all of the insanity that has been going on today. This has been the last 7 days have been absolutely crazy. How have you been able to keep up with all this?
Just putting in the work. There's been a lot, trying to keep track of all of it. I mean, there's so much stuff happening. I mean, we've got the Star Wars stuff, you got Marvel stuff, you've got Prime Video slashing people, and then that's just on the kind of that entertainment front. Fortunately, Jonas and Vash, I think, have been covering a lot of the stuff happening on the theme park front too. So on the YouTube channel. So there's just so much happening, but we've got a great team helping us out and getting out there and getting it done.
That's right. And John, you have just gotten started at the beginning of this year. You became full-time at that Park Place. You were already the editor-in-chief, but we've now transitioned you to being full-time on that. And we've got you and I and Jonas and some others have a big meeting tomorrow. We're going to be discussing the site. Folks, there are so many cool changes coming to the site and opportunities. We're so excited about all of it. Folks, we have to get to the news, though. We'd love to stay here and just chat and be kind to one another and welcome all of you here. But you know what? News is happening, so let's get right to it. And it's not going to be what you guys think right away. We're going to hold up on the Star Wars stuff for just a little bit to let everybody kind of get in the pool and wait around with us. But first, we're going to go to something that I think is noteworthy before we hop into Star Wars, and that is that, well, the Nintendo Switch 2 is on the way. And the reason that I think this is worthy of a discussion by all of us is because it seems that as Disney and as these other companies have lost sway with the audience, it's not like the audience suddenly decided, hey, let's stop having fun. It's just that they've gone other places for the fun. And Nintendo, well, Nintendo and Universal are on absolutely. They're like lightning in a bottle right now. Let's read this article out of CNBC. This is one of the stories we wanted to cover on the Pro Show on Tuesday, and there was just too much breaking news. But this is by Arjun Karpal. Nintendo is expected to launch the Switch 2 console this year. Here's what to expect. And we'll read the article proper. Nintendo is likely to release a new Switch console this year, analysts told CNBC, as the Japanese gaming giant looks to capitalize on the interest in its characters ranging from Mario to Zelda. The Nintendo Switch first launched in March 2017 and marked a new type of hybrid console where gamers could play on their TVs, but then take their controller, attach it to a tablet, and game and go on gaming on the go. This approach, which combined the at-home aspects of console gaming with the portability of mobile games, proved very popular with gamers. Blah, blah, blah. We all get the idea. The big deal here is that not only has the Nintendo Switch put itself in a position to be the highest and best-selling console of all time, I think it'll probably happen this year. It'll actually surpass the previous holder. So the Nintendo Switch, at a time when everybody said that we were going to be going to mobile gaming, that was where it was at. Everybody wanted to play the freemium stuff on their little tablets and phones. Nintendo came in and said no, and Nintendo has won and won greatly. It goes on to talk about the $1 billion in box office sales for Super Mario Brothers movie. You know, the funny thing is to me that at the same time that the box office is going down and Nintendo is dominating there, even still, the truth is that $1 billion to Nintendo is a drop in the bucket because of the success of the gaming market. I mean, they are making just tons and tons and tons of money on their consoles, on their games, all of that. And I would suspect, folks, that it's because Nintendo is not a divisive company. They're still reaching out to families. They're still making it exciting and fun, which is different than what we've seen with Star Wars, although they may be trying to get back to that. Panel, let's go to you now. What do you all think about the Nintendo Switch launching a second version? And what do you see on the horizon for video games versus the box office and traditional entertainment? Are we in a transition now to video games being the dominant side of the entertainment industry?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Sure. I think video games have been dominant for a long time. I think that they've had way more total gross revenue than Hollywood has for a number of years now. Probably the past decade, I have to go back and look at the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that they have been the number one entertainment form. And that's just kind of looking at console stuff. Like you said, that's not even looking at a lot of the mobile gaming and all that stuff that people do on their phones. So I definitely think that is the number one source for people's entertainment at this juncture. I do think that we are seeing a lot of more video game adaptations are kind of happening from Hollywood studios. Obviously, Super Mario Brothers is a big example, but we've seen even over the past couple of years, Sony did Uncharted. And we've seen Assassin's Creed, obviously that was a couple of years ago. But we have seen them. They're doing The Last of Us over at HBO. God of War is in development. Halo 2 is coming out on Paramount Plus. So we are seeing a lot of these adaptations of video games in the entertainment, whether it's a television or in a movie form as well. So I definitely think that video games is where the culture is kind of centered around now, and Hollywood is kind of trying to glom onto that. I mean, obviously the Minecraft film that's coming up with Jason Momoa and Jack Black as well is another example of that.
Yeah, there's also a Fortnite movie apparently in development. Unfortunately, I think it's controlled by Zack Snyder, is my understanding. Vash, your thought?
And I think Minecraft too.
We are seeing not only movies adapted from video games to movies, but we're also seeing from video games to theme parks directly, which is a really interesting pipeline to go down. Some would say a Mario pipeline, maybe. Very interesting. We'll have more to discuss about that on this show, actually, so definitely stay around for that. But we're just seeing all kinds of stuff making its way out of the video game space to all kinds of media, because I think people understand, a lot of these companies and executives understand that this is what's hot right now, and if you can adapt that to your form of medium, whether it be television show, movies, or theme parks, yeah, there's money to be had there for sure.
I think it's appropriate, Nick, that we also think about too that Disney essentially cratered LucasArts, which was the video game production side of what George Lucas had created. In hindsight, what a stupid decision, because video games are just exploding. I mean, like John said, video games have been dominant, right? They're the biggest side of the industry. But that said, now they're dominating in terms of they're what we're watching in the movies. So not only did they defeat the movies, but now they're in the movies. Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, the video game industry is a $600+ billion industry. It is absolutely huge. Mobile, console, PC, I mean, you name it, video games are everywhere. Now, even in the crypto markets, there's crypto gaming that's being developed where you can play and get and earn free crypto, which you can then cash out for actual real money. So, I mean, gaming is being inserted all over the place across the board. And you got, I mean, my most anticipated thing IP wise of entire 2024 is a video game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes out in February. I'm more hyped about that game than any movie or TV show that's coming out. And for Disney to have basically gotten rid of LucasArts completely, and then, pipe that out to other companies to do Star Wars games was a travesty, because LucasArts made some great games, great Star Wars games, and great games that weren't Star Wars games.
Yeah, Day of the Tentacle is still one of my favorite all-time games. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. And as far as Nintendo goes, with the launch of the Switch 2, I mean, that console's been out for 7 years. Typical lifespan of a console is normally around that time frame, 7 to 10 year time frame. So it makes sense that they're going to come out with the Switch 2. I never actually got the Switch. The last Nintendo system I bought was the Wii U. I'll be curious to get some more information on the Switch 2, if it's going to be backwards compatible, because if it is, that might, encourage me to actually maybe get one, because then maybe I could play some of the Switch games that I never actually got to play. But yeah, it seems like the right time and the right move for Nintendo. And everybody knows the Japanese are not into all that woke nonsense garbage. So
absolutely. Folks, we're going to be talking about Star Wars in just a few. I promise, though, this is connected with Star Wars, surprisingly. But before we get into what's going on with Lucasfilm, I'm looking at this in a perspective sort of way. Because when we talk about a new trilogy coming out for Star Wars in the box office and all of that, it's easy to think that's the big news. When in reality, the launch of a console, Switch 2, I mean, the amount of money you're talking in comparison, orders of magnitude in difference. And I think that we begin to need, to think of Nintendo as sort of the leader in entertainment. Now, one of them, Epic Games, you could say is certainly up there. If you look at Fortnite, for example, 1 in 3 people in the Western world have a Fortnite account. I was shocked when I read that, but it's true. Yeah. But I want to go to Tigress. Tigress, when we look at some of these major IPs, like, for example, Harry Potter has Hogwarts Legacy. We have all of these IPs that have a connected video game that's really strong for them. I don't think right now we have that with Star Wars. In fact, some of the Star Wars video games, as of late, have sort of undermined the belief of the consumer that they're cared about. Really some major mistakes by EA in that area. No surprise there. But Tigress, do you think that without a video game tie-in, maybe even a parallel video game in place, that Star Wars is in a weak position?
It's in an incredibly weak position. You have the possibility to have people get lost in the game and then want to go watch the show. And I think not only Disney is in a weak position, but some of these remakes and some of these translations to movies and things have not gone well with the video game players. And looking at it from a player standpoint, I have certain games that I go back to time and time and time again because the stories are good. And I have yet to see one that has translated well. I know Halo players that were infuriated by what HBO did with Halo. I know The Last of Us, the first game with, and I played the first game. I didn't bother with the second, but The Last of Us was actually a pretty good series. I don't know what season 2 is going to be. So for Star Wars,
well, bad news on what's coming there.
I know. Big
Players of the game
coming.
can tell you.
Big Abby's coming. I know exactly
That's
what's
right.
coming. But I think they are in a very weak position. They're hurting themselves by not looking at that industry. Because for me, and it'll probably happen again today, when I want to escape the outside world, I don't necessarily go to a movie right now. I go to a video game.
I totally agree. I'm trying to, I guess that's what I'm trying to get through to people this year is I think one of the big stories that's happening is that we're watching the death spiral of theaters, of cinemas. I mean it. I think in 2024 and 2025, we're going to see more closures of theaters than we saw in the entire decade prior, and maybe the prior 2 decades. People say, well, they survived the pandemic. Yeah, that's the point. They survived by the skin of their teeth. But, that's like a boxer taking a knockout punch and getting back up off the mat. You can't take multiples of those afterwards. And that's what we're seeing with the theaters. John, you brought up in the private chat behind the scenes where folks can't see an interesting thing that I think we should touch on before moving on, and that is Star Wars Outlaws. What do you know about that game, and do you think that might be an opportunity for Star Wars to sort of redeem itself in video gaming?
Yeah, so it's not just Star Wars Outlaws. There's a lot of kind of controversy around that game already, but they also have the Knights of the Old Republic remake that was supposed to be happening that is now kind of in limbo, and who even knows if it's still happening. It was supposed to be being developed by like Saber Interactive, or I think at least Asper Media at the beginning, and then it moved to Saber, and now it's kind of been in limbo. If you don't know anything about what's going on there, all of those companies are kind of owned by this conglomerate that also owns the Lord of the Rings, the Middle Earth Enterprises now. It's Embracer Group. It's like I think they're like a Scandinavian company. And interestingly enough, they had to like restructure their entire company last year because some billion-dollar deal fell through, and so they had to make massive amounts of cuts. And for after some of their games failed, like Saints Row, I don't know, the Saints Row 5, the Saints Row reboot, whatever it was called, absolutely failed. So I'm wondering if that was indeed a Star Wars deal that happened that fell through, and that's why they had to make all those cuts. And now why we're seeing that Knights of the Old Republic remake is kind of in limbo, and who knows if it's ever going to be made at all. But as for the Outlaws game, it looks like it's kind of like a GTA clone with a female protagonist. So it's your typical Lucasfilm, forces female, putting a female character first and having her be like a Han Solo ripoff.
Is that Ubisoft, by the way?
That was what I was about to say.
I think it's Ubisoft,
a female Han Solo.
Yeah, Ubisoft has been kind of on the forefront of, incorporating some of these ideas and so forth and permeating through the industry. Unfortunate to hear, but not necessarily surprising. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the gameplay just kind of looked like something you saw out of like GTA, I don't know, half a decade ago. It didn't really look inspiring. It didn't look interesting. And you had some of like atrocious dialogue on some of the gameplay footage that they did indeed show. It was obviously girl boss stuff. And I just think it's gonna go the way of a lot of these other video games that have kind of done this previously. Like I mentioned, the Saints Row game just last year. That failure of that game ended up their entire studio was shut down within less than a year after it didn't have really good sales. So I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised if that happens to this game as well. It looks like something similar is going to be happening to DC on the DC front with their Kill the Justice League game that's supposed to become Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. So
think about it this way, folks. 136 million Nintendo Switch units sold, probably will top 150 million this year. Then you add in Sony PlayStation, and yes, the elite PC gamers out there, the superior race in their own minds, and you come up with a huge number. Yes, I see you, Vash. I see your LEDs on the fan. You see a huge consumer base out there who have the power of the theater at their hands, at their disposal, you put together the power of Nintendo and Fortnite, and you just have to say to yourself that if companies such as Disney do not get on board, oh my gosh, they're missing out on a grand opportunity. We'll talk about opportunities with Star Wars in just a moment. But guess what, folks? It is time for your Super Chats. And Vash, as our stand-in producer for the day, I'd like to give you the opportunity to read them. So let's get them up on the screen. Here we go.
You got it. Jonas A. Campbell, a member for 9 months at the profound level right there. Welcome to the Walt Wright Pipeline.
That's right. Power to the Walt Wright. Good Lord, he's going to get us in trouble with that. Next up.
Yeah. Culture Casino, member for 9 months at the premium level. I am the Walt Wright Pipeline. Yeah, that's it. I am all the pipeline. Right there. Pretty funny right there.
Well played.
How Monkey, member from 5 months at the potential level. Happy New Year, Pro. Keep up all the amazing work.
Well, thank you. And yes, we will. You all are the gigawatts that make this possible. And so we'll keep at it as long as you allow us to do so.
Changer of Ways donates $2. Damn it, Jonas, where are you at? Right there.
Poor Jonas. Jonas he is busy, I'm sure, creating a defense system for his home against burglars, Slades, and Wiltons. That's what I think is probably going on.
Absolutely. Red Tigress gifted 5 WWE Pro memberships. There you go.
And Tigress, that is so kind of you, because the second half of this show is going to be a member exclusive. It's the member exclusive live stream for January. And so, folks, if you want to stick around to see the member exclusive section of this portion of the show, you're going to need to be a member. If there are those of you out there, we're not asking you to do this, but if you would like to gift memberships, these kinds of shows often are the best time to do so. So thank you so much, Red Tigress, for being so kind.
Thank you. Fat Cartel with $5. Day late, but the Mando Grogu movie announcement repurposed found footage of the monorail explosion. Nothing to see here. Move along.
That's right. Keep moving. Don't pay attention. Just keep swimming.
Changer of Ways for $2. Baldur's Gate 3 filled a year of my story thirst right there.
That's right. Video games can do that, and a lot of people have been very happy with some video games. There have been some duds. There's no doubt about that, but there have been some great video games in the past 6 months or so, and there are going to be even more coming, and the numbers just don't lie. When you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of millions of players, I almost said concurrent players, that would be incorrect, but hundreds and hundreds of millions of players in Fortnite, for example, and that game has exploded. These are the kinds of things we're going to have to be covering over the next 12 months as we watch the end, I think, of movies as we have known them in terms of their cultural impact. We'll continue to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, no matter if it's passive or interactive entertainment.
That's right. Zephyr, member for 9 months at the potential level. They said they were going to rewrite KOTOR. It's interesting because, John, I don't know if you saw this, but it looks like that whole thing has been dropped, at least for now. It obviously could be developed by another developer, but I don't think there's going to be any progress going forward on that, at least in the near term. I might be mistaken, though.
Yeah, so when they first made the announcement, the guy who was the head of Asper Media, head of the project, basically said they were going to be making some significant changes to it in the the Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic remake game. But now the last we heard was from the Embracer Group CEO. He was asked what the update was, and he was like, "That's my favorite question. I don't have anything for you," indicating that who knows what's really going on with it, whether it's still being in development at Saber Interactive or what. Like I said, it had moved from Asper to Saber, and now it's unclear exactly what the status of it is. And that was last year. So in the middle of last year, I feel like, but I haven't seen anything or any updates on that since then. So it's unclear if it's still in the works or if it's something that's on the shelf that they might bring it up later. Who really knows? I'm wondering if it has a lot to do with what's going on at Lucasfilm and all the cuts that Disney are making. And if there's some kind of licensing deal that's really kind of stalled a lot of that development over there with Embracer Group. And again, I kind of speculate, what was that $1 billion deal that made them completely restructure their entire organization?
Yeah. I'd leave well enough alone myself. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, originally they hired some female activist lady who was going to be writing it. They got backlash for that. And then when they were talking about rewriting it for modern day audiences, we all know what that means, folks, right? So they caught a lot of backlash for that because the fans of that game are hardcore fans. They do not want it messed with. And I've seen that a lot with the Final Fantasy VII remake stuff, but the original director is involved in it. And so it's actually been really good and pretty well received. So, but yeah, that KOTOR thing, when they started getting all that backlash, eventually they're like, yeah, this is going to be shelved for a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, why would you want, like, all they needed to do was basically remaster it, give us the better effects, update the graphics and all that stuff.
Same game
alone, and that's all people really want. Instead, they want to do all their other changes to it.
Yep.
Money in the bag.
Right.
Sad. Kirk with member for 3 months. Will the video games replace the toys and figures? Honestly, it might have already occurred.
To some degree, that's happening, but there's always the need for tactile experiences, right? So you really can't, especially with the younger children, you really can't replicate the opportunity to manipulate a doll or an action figure and have that in your hands with a game. That said, I don't see any reason that there couldn't be some sort of integration in the future, and there have been attempts at that. Most of those, of course, have been the little figurines that you can connect to the game. But there's no reason in the world that as we go forward with video games that you couldn't have interactive experiences with, especially, and I don't know if we want to do this with small kids. I kind of lean towards not, but you could see augmented reality where you could put the action figure down on the table and suddenly it comes to life and that sort of thing. The door's wide open in the future. We just need to be careful about the development of small kids and their brains and all of those important issues with gaming and interacting with it. Any other thoughts on that one before we move along, guys? Moving right along.
Okay.
Too late, Vash. You got to get in there quicker.
It's okay, because we have Tender Warrior 68 gifting 10 WW Pro memberships. Thank you so much for that. And
holy cow, that's 10 people who get to stay when we do the member-exclusive content. And folks, you don't want to miss the member-exclusive side of this, because in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about some of that spicy stuff regarding Star Wars, including debunking some rumors that have been out there that need to be debunked. So, Tender Warrior, thank you so much for opening the door to 10 people. I think it's time for a celebration.
Perfect.
All right. I like that one. That makes me happy. Do a little dance there. All right, moving right along.
Floor from Under a Rock gives Canadian $2. Pro isn't wearing any pants. I can see him.
Floral, you just have leg envy because you don't have any legs. You make Lieutenant Dan look advantaged.
True.
Terrible. Yeah, Chipmunk Conventions became a YouTube member. There you go.
Not only are you a member, but you also have one of the greatest names ever bestowed upon humanity. Congratulations on both.
Very, very nice. Troy Bolster says, I'm sorry, Pro, if Jonas is bright enough to get lured into an oven by Wilton, you might want to look into a new producer. Uh-oh.
Troy, don't underestimate Wilton. Last I saw him, he was diving deep into the prop box of Jussie Smollett. So watch out for him. He's dangerous.
Graph Web gifted $2. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Well, yeah, let me see. I believe Graph Web said the same thing in our chat on that Park Place. So there you go.
There may be a pattern here, a pattern of intention. And then we have
Views with Hughes, Agenda Free News, gifted $1.99. Wish I was there with you right now. Hey, Views.
Hey, Hughes. And Hughes, we will send you the link for the second half of the show and get you in here. So hang tight. We'll get you that link.
There you go.
All right. Well, that is, we've got one more coming in. So let's get this one before we move on.
Changer of Ways gives $5. Warhammer's Games Workshop is worth $3.2 billion, I'm guessing, by selling models. Are those toys? ?
Well, that's sort of a subjective thing. It all depends on the way you look at it. But in terms of profit, they are definitely profit. So how's that for you? So whatever you want to classify them. Yep.
I think their net worth is probably going to increase as soon as they get that Henry Cavill Warhammer universe going up. I mean, I think Valiant did a really good video last year discussing how Hasbro saw their revenues massively increase after those first Michael Bay films.
Great point. All right, folks, we've got some more super chats that are waiting in the queue. We'll get to them very soon, but we must move along because you all came here for a reason, and it's time to talk about it. Folks, if you have not yet shared this video out with your mom, your dad, your dog, your cat, whoever else is out there in the neighborhood, go outside, go out your front door unless it's a dangerous neighborhood, and begin yelling to the heavens and just tell folks to tune in because it's about to get amazing. And that amazing time is right now. But of course, as we begin to talk about Star Wars, don't forget the theme of it all.
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck. Suck, suck, suck.
All right, and we are going to thatparkplace.com, the website that you should have bookmarked. Don't be the last person to have it on your browser. And we're going to be taking a look at this one first, although there are two that we'll be reading from today from That Park Place. This by John F. Trent. Who's that? Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian and Grogu film, rumored to be part of Trilogy, including Dave Filoni's previously announced Mandoverse film. Folks, we're going to dissect this and dive deep into it and explain to you why Kathleen Kennedy has blindly walked into another trilogy. Hang tight. We'll explain that. A new rumor details that the... Go ahead.
I just wanted to... Did anyone else think that this concept art that they shared is AI?
Oh, it's 100. Yes, it's 1,000% AI.
Okay.
So baby Grogu, baby Yoda, looks like a Warcraft 2 orc. There's no texture applied. If you look at the Mandalorian's cheek with the flash on it, no human would have put a flash there because it's blocked by his arm, so that there should be no light on that part of his cheek. This is, I mean, listen, I can't say for sure, but we had Lorne on to look at this ship specifically because Lorne is a Star Wars expert. He said, I don't know what ship this is.
No clue.
I swear this thing is AI generated.
Yeah, it probably. And the thing is that was just a seemed to me like a last minute announcement on this thing that they just threw together real quick to get something out there to kind of calm the waters down from this Obid Chinoy stuff. So
absolutely,
they have great concept artists. Like that was like the best part of the Mandalorian for me was seeing the concept art at the end.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
There's no way this comes out of Lucasfilm's artists. I mean, other than just whatever program they have. Tigress, what were you thinking?
This has the look and feel of a firewall. They were in trouble on multiple fronts. They had to do something to cool it, and because women were not receiving that female director well. The only one that was receiving her well were the activists out there. And they had to do something cool. This picture makes no sense to me. I look at it, shadows are wrong across the board. That ship looks like something... I've seen something with a similar nose in... I think one of the Galactica ships had a similar nose to that.
Tigress, I can only conclude it's the Halcyon over at Hollywood Studios and that Grogu has finally destroyed.
That would be nice.
Well, is this the upper atmosphere? Because I mean, if that's a ship in space, Grogu's in trouble. But if this is not, it's just at a weird angle.
He's using force space bubble powers. You make this up on the fly. You don't have to have any.
Yeah, Leia had it.
Leia, let's try.
Remember,
you did that in Mando season 3 too.
By the way, if you all
got to Mandalore,
if you all want to know if this is AI generated, I can't definitively say, folks, but you see the Mandalorian's right arm is the one that's hanging back towards the ship, right? We've got 5 fingers on there. It's a hand, all right. Take a look at how he's holding little Grogu, little baby Yoda. Somebody find where the hand is, because I can't figure out what that mess of colors and shapes is. Where does baby Yoda end and where does the hand begin and where is the hand itself? That's why I say this sucker is AI.
And
anybody see a hand?
There does look like a signature, like at the bottom right there. Like, do you see that? But,
yes,
yeah,
I will zoom. I will zoom in soon, and I've got the image. I cannot share that image the way that it's set up, where the folks out there can see it. But let me see if I can look in. We'll come back to it, folks. We'll come back to it. We're in a discussion, and I'll see if I can figure out who it's by.
Cool.
All right, Lucasfilm announced The Mandalorian Grogu earlier this week and revealed it will be directed by Jon Favreau and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni, and Favreau producing. In a blog post on their website, they also stated that the movie would go into production sometime later this year. They did not reveal any details about the film, but did state that the 3 films announced at Star Wars Celebration from directors Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, James Mangold, and Dave Filoni were still on the development slate. And within the last 48 hours on this channel, we said that we did not believe that this new Mandalorian movie was the Mandoverse movie that they had previously announced. And that was a key thing that's going to have an impact. It seems like that has been corroborated. Here's what we've got. As noted above, the Dave Filoni Mandoverse was announced at Star Wars Celebration in April, with Lucasfilm revealing in a press release that the film would see Dave Filoni orchestrate the escalating war between the Imperial Remnant and the fledgling New Republic. Alongside producer Jon Favreau, they will bring together many of the threads of the Star Wars original series in a cinematic event. Now, a new rumor from Jason Ward at Making Star Wars claims these two films are even more connected than one might think and are actually part of a planned trilogy of films, which would mean that Kathleen Kennedy is getting another trilogy. Ward stated, my source, the original source who first told me that season 4 would be a movie, told me that this is going to be a trilogy. He continued, and I'm going to add a caveat, that's just my additional sense on it, is that it's a trilogy if the first one connects. If the first one is a big film, they'll go forward and make 2. If the first one is $350 million, if it's Indy 5, then they're probably going to just do the 2 and then wash their hands with it. Ward then reiterated, those 2 films are going to happen. Now, there is so much that we can learn from this. And one of those things that we can learn from this is, we talked about on this channel earlier, that when we looked at Pedro Pascal's, his production schedule, right, for when he's going to be participating in the shooting of films, we didn't see a way for him to do a season 4 and the movie. And so we had concluded almost definitely that what has happened is they have repurposed season 4, repackaged it into a movie. And once you understand that, you begin to understand the utter scramble that is taking place at Lucasfilm and by Disney. Because right now, the mainstream, the corporate drive-by media, they believe that Lucasfilm has never had so many projects in development at once. They are rocking. They have nitro in the space shuttle. I'm here to tell you, I don't think that's what's happening. I want to posit this theory to the panel, and then you all take this away and tell me what you think about it. Here's what I believe. I think the Rey movie, when they announced it at Celebration, and when they gave it a release date, and when they had Pinewood locked down for a shoot with the sound stages, I think they intended to go forward with it. I don't think that the Rey movie has ever been some sort of, facade or charade or trick. I think they intended to make it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that Disney came in after the WGA strikes, and they looked at what the progress was on this project. And I think that Disney looked and said, based on what we see here, and based on the market analysis, we cannot go forward with a Rey movie and have that be our lead-in, our return to the big screen with Star Wars after a 7-year hiatus. And why do I say that? Because they looked at Willow, they looked at the diminishing returns on Disney+, they looked at Indiana Jones, and they realized, well, and the Marvels as well, and they realized, we can't do this. We will kill the franchise. And then, here's what else I think happened. And you guys tell me what you think. I think that Charmin Obaid-Chinoy got word of this or got wind of it somehow, some way. Speculation on my part. But I think she got word that they were going to back this thing up, that it wasn't ready to go. They didn't want to pull it out of the oven yet. She was not going to be given this. And being an activist that she is, I think she took the steps to make that very difficult for Disney. And then for 2 weeks or so, Disney was hammered. And the shills got behind Charmin Obaid-Chinoy because they got confused. The shills didn't know what to do with this. So they all got behind her. And they all declared out to us that it's the year of the woman. Finally, a woman's going to shape Star Wars because they're dumb and they don't know that Marcia Lucas even exists.
But that Kathleen Kennedy's been in charge since 2012.
Right. You could. Yeah, logic is not welcomed in the home of the shills. But what I think is going on here is that when Disney came in and looked at the Rey movie and what was happening there, and we've got more evidence of this. We're gonna go to that Park Place, the other article in a little bit. But I think that when they looked at the Rey movie, they said, okay, we can't lose this release date. We can't lose it, right? So what do we do? And I think they said to themselves, well, we've got Jon Favreau, and he's an extremely competent filmmaker. And Jon Favreau has a contract to make a season 4. What if we repurpose season 4 to be a movie? And we save we save that theatrical release date with a Mandalorian season 4. We'll sacrifice the Disney Plus numbers to get something out so that we can save face. Okay? And then what I think happened was that Kathleen Kennedy or Lucasfilm or Filoni, but somebody said to themselves, now wait a minute. We've got season 4 of The Mandalorian repurposed into a film. Filoni's making a Mandoverse movie. That's 2/3 of a trilogy. What if we make it into a trilogy? And I think that's the depth to which they spent developing this, because I don't think they have a plan other than now we have 2 Mando movies because we had to repurpose season 4 because Rey was in full suck mode. What are we going to do?
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck. Suck, suck, suck.
And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stock? No, Kathleen.
All right, panel. Panel, I want you to destroy my argument if you can. Dissect it. If you think I'm wrong in any way, tear it apart, please. But if you agree, share that as well.
Sure, I can go back. I can play devil's advocate, I guess. So there has been rumors about.
Now I'm scared. I of all the people on the panel to have as the devil's advocate, now I'm nervous.
I was going to throw it to John even if he didn't speak up.
If you go back to like 2020, 2019, there was a scooper named Mikey Sutton who I think he passed away last year. May he rest in peace. But he scooped that Jon Favreau was actually working on building up a Mandoverse film, and it would be adapting Heir to the Empire. And he'd been talking about that for, I guess, going on 5 years now. So that is something that they probably had in the back burner. We know that Lucasfilm does indeed keep a lot of these projects that they sideline, they shelve them, and then they bring them back. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi is a perfect example of that. The Book of Boba Fett is probably similar to that as well. They had like films about those 2 characters in the works, and then eventually we got TV shows instead. So I think that is something that they probably had in the works out there. We know that they have George Lucas's treatments for the sequel trilogy in a vault somewhere. Bob Iger confirmed that in his little memoir book that he wrote. So there is a possibility that this is something that they had in the works for a while. Maybe it wasn't just something that they were moving forward with, or it was at the top of their game, and it was on the back burner, and they decided to move it forward, given all the stuff that they were having with Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, etc.
Now, John, I know you've been tasked with tearing apart the argument. Folks, take a look at this. Let me counter your counter. This from CBR.com, Cassidy Stevenson. February 13th of 2023, only 11 months ago, will Grogu appear on the big screen? The Mandalorian boss weighs in. When Variety asked about Grogu's big screen potential, Favreau denied the character's future in the film industry due to time constraints. There's always an opportunity when you have a set of characters and stories that people connect with that you could cross media into different areas, Favreau said. Marvel does it quite effectively. It's just a matter of where our time should be spent and what the appetite of the audience is. With all these stories we're telling, it definitely is a full-time job just keeping this going, what we're doing now. Television has a much different rhythm and schedule than film does. Let's see, it says, I have no idea, but what a dream that would be to come true, said Pedro Pascal. Now, the reason I bring this up is because this was actually in response to a rumor we were reporting that Grogu would appear in the Rey movie. And so Variety actually asked Jon Favreau about whether or not we would expect to see Grogu on the big screen. And essentially he said, maybe, but not in the near term. So I know that people in Hollywood often don't give a direct answer. And sometimes they fudge and sometimes they hedge and all of that. So fully on board. But I do think it gives some credence to the idea that this was a hastily done thing. Just saying. But John, you might be right.
No, I mean, I actually probably am more. I probably tend to agree that this was done hastily. If it felt like Favreau, like I know you guys, a lot of you guys think that Favreau had kind of been sidelined in season 3. I've been of the opinion that I think the writing has been bad for since the very beginning. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know. I mean, there's so many secrets and stuff at Lucasfilm, but when we see the final products, for the most part, it's all pretty much terrible. Yeah. So,
well, it was always weird
Vash,
to
drop yours, and I've got a question for Nick. Go ahead.
Right. It was always weird coming out of Star Wars Celebration where a film was announced from Dave Filoni. It was like, wait a minute, you have Jon Favreau working there.
They sort of do. He's a contracted individual.
He's in the. He's on the outskirts of the building. They can call his name. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This guy's produced $1 billion film for Disney before in the past. He, helped launch the MCU into existence. This guy's an experienced filmmaker. Why wouldn't you hand off a project, especially one of such significance, being the first film since 2019, with that guy? And apparently, it looks like
I have a theory on that one.
Well, before we go into those theories, we must cut in because, ladies and gentlemen, Vash, this is one of the most exciting things a producer gets to do. So take it away, sir.
Oh, man. Is This Live gifted 50 WDW Pro memberships? Thank you so much.
Holy cow, 50 of you are now inside the Pro Lounge when we switch to member exclusive. Let's celebrate together. Is This Live?
Blindfolded half-court shot that is now the talk of campus and beyond.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 50 of you golden heart. Is This Live?
Wow.
You have now joined.
Are you kidding me? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Is that on tape?
Yeah.
You are kidding me. Wow. Wow.
And so we applaud you. Is This Live? Thank you one more time. Magnanimous and kind. We are appreciative. Absolutely 100%. What a tremendous thing to do for all of the folks out there who are so excited to be gifted those memberships and have the opportunity to stick around later. Thank you. Is This Live? All right, Tigress, I interrupted you.
Well, what Vash was saying, I understand this position of you have Jon Favreau. Why aren't you using him? But you have to remember something where Disney was at that point in time at D23. It was everything Kathleen Kennedy, and everything D23 was Dave Filoni. You look at Mandalorian Season 3, it had a very much of a Clone Wars feel to it, very much of an animated feel to it. In fact, I think I said this on Echo Base Network a couple of times, that this feels like an animated series, not a live action. What's going on?
Yeah.
And if you listen to all of the interviews, it was always Dave Filoni, Dave Filoni, Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni did what he was told. Favreau, we don't know what was in Favreau's contract. We don't know what he may have put in there as far as what kind of creative control he had and may have lost. But it was obvious at D23, at least to me, watching as a fan from the outside, that he had been moved off to the side and he was trying potentially to fulfill a requirement with what he was saying. And he just looked watching. I would have loved somebody that's a body language expert to kind of analyze some of the body language he had during those interviews. And now we're in the thing. And the one thing I would say, Pro, I agree with about 98% of what you laid out in your theory wise. I think there's another variable here that may have caused this.
Please share.
The proxy fight.
Yes. Okay. Well, Tigress, you have become quite the aficionado of understanding Disney. That's exactly right. Gosh, I'm so glad you said that, Tigress. Okay, folks, join in on this one. Let's say that they realized that the Rey movie was not going to make its scheduled date. Now, they've got to, we would have to know that in very short order because you're going to have to get that date locked down with the theaters, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So that was going to have to come out. Now, we've got an earnings report coming out in February, and then we've got a big meeting in April. Disney stood to be in a bad situation if they said, oh, that Star Wars franchise that we were supposedly going to bring out with the sequel trilogy main character that's supposed to be beloved and is the cornerstone of our theme parks. Yeah, that's delayed. And we don't have anything for Star Wars. So thus the scramble. Tigress, excellent point. Nick, I go to you now. So when this broke during the Pro Show, I said, I don't think this is the Mandalorian movie that Dave Filoni's doing. So this seems new to me. And so that has turned out to be true. That said, this now I think we can almost definitely definitively say that either this is the Mandalorian season 4 repurposed, or maybe they'll do like a very brief season 4 that leads into this, but I think it's season 4 flat out. But Nick, if there had not been a season 3, if we only had the Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, I think this is $1 billion to $1.5 billion guaranteed movie because of how much people loved the first 2 seasons.
And if we
after
didn't
the
have
third
Boba
season,
Fett.
and the Book of Boba Fett has, you're right, that's done tremendous damage.
That's got to be gone too.
But after Boba Fett and after season 3, I don't think this is a guarantee. I think they actually have to do a phenomenally good job to convince an audience to come back. Nick, what could they do to draw folks back in and prove to them that this is not Lizzo all over again?
The thing is, they're going to keep anything they're doing pretty tight-lipped, and, you know, they're not going to really come out and say a whole lot about it. But if we got the first trailer and it like Celebration next year, and they kind of talked about the basic premise of the movie, of kind of like what the story is, and it started off by Grogu going back to Luke Skywalker, and then Mando doing his own thing, that would be a good start.
Look at the screen and work your way through this, telling us how they can actually do it. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so
you gotta believe, Nick.
Yeah, the thing is, whatever they do, it's gonna probably make twice as much money as the Rey movie would have made. But the damage that's been done, you know, you were saying earlier, you're like, you know, that they're kind of scrambling and like, we can't do this. We're going to end up destroying the franchise if we release this. What they don't understand is they've already destroyed it. It's already destroyed.
But this is a Hail Mary, Nick. This is a Hail Mary to say, we got to make $700 million.
Yeah.
This little baby Yoda, we got to use him to pull the 8-year-olds in, and we got to get $700 million. I'll guarantee you that's the pitch.
Oh, 100%.
More than just the 8-year-olds.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, it'll definitely, you know, Grogu will definitely be a draw for a lot of the audience, for sure, no doubt about it. He'll definitely be a draw. But as much damage has been done, you know, a lot of the fans that, you know, that newness of the new car, which is Grogu, has worn off and has kind of been played out. And at this point, you know, a lot of fans just are starting to find him annoying.
Well, there's definitely some broken trust there as well.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure.
It's like when I get attached to this, I want to be like bloom into something, and then it, you know, they completely let me down via what we're seeing on the screen. Go ahead, Nick.
So, I mean, I honestly don't know what they could do now. If Luke Skywalker was playing a huge role, and it was like Luke, Mando, Grogu, you know, and then they're like, we're deep faking, you know, Han and Chewie in this as well. You know, maybe that would be a huge draw. But, you know, whatever they do, I just don't have any faith that it's going to be any good.
All right, hold there, Nick. Hold there, because this goes to the final point I want to make about this story. And this is not the end of the Star Wars stuff, folks. We got the Rey movie to talk about on the flip side of this thing, and we'll be going to the member exclusive the second half of the show. So make sure that you are a member or you've accepted one of those gifted memberships so that you can stick around, because it's going to get more spicy. But before we do so, John, I had heard in the past 12 months repeatedly from multiple sources in and around Lucasfilm that they desperately, well, and not just in and around well, we'll leave there. We don't want to get too close on it. But that Lucasfilm is eager to get the common complaint off of them that they wasted Luke, Leia, and Han, and that they would love to have the opportunity to put those three together for a cameo, because, and this was specified to us from a high-level partner, and this got some real pushback too from high levels, and I think we defended it well. But a high-level partner was in meetings, allegedly, with Lucasfilm executives, and they wanted to use Luke, Leia, and Han, and they were told these are cobwebbed characters. You can use them for cameos. You can use them for tie-ins. You can use them for skins in video games. but they're cobwebbed. We're not going to use them significantly. But it was expressed that they would really like to put the three of them together to get that common complaint off of them. I don't think for a second that Lucasfilm is too low to commit digital necromancy and put the three together in the Millennium Falcon and run with that and say, we gave you Luke, Leia, and Han. It's CGI. That's all we got. We gave it to you. Do you think they'll go for that? Do you think they'll stoop that low? And do you think that would be effective? It'd be in all the commercials the second week. They'd spoil it in a heartbeat.
I don't think there's anything too low that the Walt Disney Company won't do after watching that Marvel's deleted scene earlier today, where they're trying to hawk the Blu-ray and DVDs. So, yeah, I definitely think that's something that they could indeed do. I don't think it's something that would garner people wanting to go see the film for. I think that time has passed. You had that opportunity. You failed to do that, and you have to own your mistake. I kind of agree with. I just want to go back and talk about what Nick was saying. I think this whole Mandalorian Grogu film is an absolute terrible idea. I don't even know why they would announce it like in the middle of the week in January. It seems just
I do
on the Star Wars.
You do. You know why they announced it?
Oh yeah, well,
It's a firewall, guys.
You got listen. That's two birds, one stone. Get away from the Echo reviews and cut out the Ray stuff. That was man, you couldn't ask for a better brick to knock down those birdies.
Yeah, I guess, but like at the same time, like, was that real? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, that's stuff that they've been dealing with for years now. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's like something that they would really want to like put out a new movie announcement to try and get fun from. I don't know.
John, what happened the night before they did this announcement? What was the big show they had across
Echo,
Hollywood? Golden Globes.
Oh, the Golden Globes. Yeah.
Listen. If they had planned this, if this was something they had ready to go, and this was the week they just had to do it, they would have announced it at something like that. We would have Jon Favreau stroll out there and say something about taking a TV show to a movie or something. I don't know, but they would have done something. Anything is better than a 3-paragraph press release that at the bottom paragraph it resolves all of the ongoing crises of the day. That just screams out. We got to get this out as quick as possible.
It speaks to rushing this. By the way.
I guess, but at the same time, it just creates another disaster for them. I think, not only are we now talking about Echo, or still talking about Charmin Obey-Chinoy, but now we're talking about this film. These people are brain dead. Like, they're going to go to Mandalorian, and they're going to go to Mandalorian and Grogu.
You've made me play it again.
I want to hear it.
Not right now.
Yes, now, Dusty Bun.
Wait. Okay.
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck. Suck.
Guys, I'm sorry. I love it so much. I can't stop playing it. I know people can't see me on camera, but it makes me smile so much. We can use it in every way possible.
He's smiling from ear to ear right now.
So yeah, just to counter that argument though, is that like now we're still just talking about three different things now, right? We're still talking about Charmin Obey-Chinoy. We're still talking about the Ray movie. Like hasn't been canceled. It's still out there. It's still
right. We are, but is the access media? That's what they needed to switch. They need to get the access media and the shills onto something else because the shills had failed. The shills had lost. The shills were off the reservation.
They lost the narrative.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I guess on that sense, for sure, they need to get their people back on board to what they're doing. But again, I still think that like we're still talking about this, like Nick was kind of harping on. It's like, what is the point of this film? This film is already kind of dead in the water. Season 3 kind of burned the bridge for a lot of people on these characters, and it's just more of the same from Lucasfilm. I mean, you have a guy like Jon Favreau. He's the guy who started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He created a film like Iron Man. If you actually give him some creative control, put him in some completely different timeline, I think maybe that's a little bit more exciting, and you get something more interesting. And there's like some intrigue with that. Like Favreau's doing something different. Instead, you're dealing with the same characters that we had seen that have already kind of been ruined, for lack of a better word, in the 3 seasons that we've seen with the Mandalorian, and then the 4th season there with the Book of Boba Fett.
I agree, John. This era of the timeline is like really kind of shallow. Like
and
it's
it's
just
confusing.
It's just a
confusing to have all these
stepping stone.
timelines playing out simultaneously across all these mediums. Sorry about that.
Well,
Vash, go ahead.
You're just trying to like get to the sequel trilogy, essentially. So I mean, even the stakes are kind of like mixed and muddled in this. This is why like the KOTOR time period was more of a rich atmosphere to have these stories play out. Instead, they're going to try to go down this well even further, and I think it's just misguided, especially with the amount of content that they expect to deliver here. Sorry about that, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, obviously, you talk about going back into the past with like the KOTOR stuff. I think that's definitely a possibility. I think that's something that fans have wanted for a long time. Disney has failed to deliver on that. But I think you can also go to the future. Dark Horse put out a bunch of comics called Star Wars Legacy back in the early 2000s that jumped about 300 years into the future, and I think explored some interesting concepts with a character named Cade Skywalker and all the things that were going on there. Had a lot of palace intrigue and things like that. And there's different things that you can explore within the Star Wars world, and I think that is something that they could have done. And they also failed to do there as well. Instead, they're sticking with the same timeline and not really like I don't know. Like I said, we've seen what they've done with the Mandalorian already. I mean, the promise was he's supposed to be Monster of the Week, and it turns into like he's a giant babysitter, and he's no longer like he's no longer a hardened bounty hunter in the vein of Jango and Boba Fett, which is what Jon Favreau promised us. You go back and look at his Instagram. Yep. You don't even have to scroll that far. He promised us this is a hardened bounty hunter in the vein of Boba and Jango Fett in the outer rim of the galaxy.
Well, he was comparing this to the new Boba Fett.
Yeah, and what do we get? We get him basically just running around taking care of Grogu, and
he'll be on a Vespa in the movie. Don't worry.
Yeah,
rainbow-colored Vespas for all.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
If they really wanted to really knock something out of the park, John Wick's director, what's his name? Stashwick.
Yeah, Chad Stileski.
Yeah,
Highlander.
Chad Stileski. Yeah, he came out and said he wants to take a swing at doing a Star Wars movie.
That'd be so
if they
slick.
announced, him doing like Knights of the Old Republic era something with Keanu Reeves or something, like, I mean, there'd be a lot of people that would back that. But this Mando Grogu thing,
been there, done that. Yeah,
I disagree with that a little bit. And this comes back to the fact that this is a rushed announcement.
Yeah.
My statement is, why have we not heard from Jon Favreau? There was one small quote in that article that he has said multiple times over the years about how many stories can be told in this time period. If you're really doing even the title doesn't sound right. Mando and Grogu. Okay. Even the title sounds bad. Why do you not have Jon Favreau come out and, if he has a story, kind of start laying out the pieces of that, and you might find interest? Because one of the things that I was watching another stream and they talked about, is there still we want to like Star Wars? And they looked at the ratings for Star Wars over the last several years and how they spike at certain times when certain announcements come out, that there is still we want to like Star Wars, but you've got to give us something to like. And this announcement for me really isn't doing it, because I'm kind of a bit schizophrenic when it comes to Grogu. I love the character. I think there's a lot you could do with the character, but I think he's been overused in the wrong way in this.
I think this is there also. They needed to do something to pump up the merchandise for Grogu, and I think they were rapidly losing that. So I think that also had something to do with what the decision was now.
And they don't have a good track record with titles either. All their titles for their shows suck.
Well, there's no way this can possibly be the final title.
Oh,
I mean, come on, this is terrible.
Really? Come on, this is the worst. This is the title.
No,
come on.
No,
this is like changing
Andor, Ahsoka, Solo. I mean, really?
This is like changing Return to the Jedi to Luke and Darth.
Yeah,
Golly.
pretty much.
Well,
we have a show called The Mandalorian.
It's going to be
that's
something
really about
like this, though.
Well, what's genius about it is they have a show that's called The Mandalorian, but it's really about The Mandalorian and Grogu. So now we're going to actually give you the film. That's The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Well, the
Ugh.
thing is going to come down to something being very simple if this even happens. And that is, will Jon Favreau have complete creative control?
Nope.
Or will Disney be constantly giving him notes to change things? We know Disney has not changed their basic premise of messaging. We know that from Doctor Who. We've had Russell T. Davis come out and say he's always getting notes to add different things into the Doctor Who episodes. I know that's a different genre, but it applies here from the standpoint of, are they going to give Jon Favreau free reign? If they give Jon Favreau free reign and they market it right, I think it could be a success. $1 billion movie? No. It could have been after season 2, but not after season 3.
You know,
But if it's done right.
I mean, they just handed Lucasfilm $350 million towards another franchise epic. That didn't work out. We've seen some really bad financing of these projects and just not having them pan out. We've heard Iger say that we need more executive control, not less. I just don't think they're going to be. I mean, they're going to meddle. This is what they do.
Well,
Yeah, and
there's
if
one other
Iger's
thing.
not going to meddle, you know.
There's one other thing here, and that is that Kathleen Kennedy is in contention for the biggest flop of all time, she and James Mangold, with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The only contest she has is trying to beat the Marvels, which also is one of the biggest financial flops of all time. And Disney is still giving her a trilogy. Yet what I would say is I don't suspect that Kathleen Kennedy will be there for the entire trilogy, and this buys them some time to give this to Jon Favreau to make a movie. I don't want to go any farther than that. I don't want to join in with what people have heard so often that Kathy's gone tomorrow and all that. So we're not going to go any farther than that. But we are going to come back to the Rey movie shortly. But first, let's get to Super Chats. Then we've got someone we're going to be bringing on the panel after the Super Chats. But it's time to read those. Here we go.
Very cool. Changer of Ways donates $5. Warhammer's Games Workshop is worth 3.2. I believe we already covered that one, Pro. Marvin Martin, $5. Disney doesn't seem to care about money anymore. What House of Cards scheme / agenda do you think is going on behind the scenes in Disney / Hollywood, etc.? Yeah, they have spent a lot of money for what they're getting back in return. If they're getting anything back in return at all, it does suggest something is at play bigger than just profits and losses at this point.
I think Pro has documented this, has documented this for a long time. I mean, Bob Iger tried to turn the company into his political animal as he was hoping to run for president in like 2020.
Yes, and
he has
Film Threat has been following up on that, John.
Yeah, he's filled it with a bunch of ideologues. We saw that play out, especially my timelines are getting mixed up here, but I know February, whenever Disney decided to go to war with the state of Florida over the bill. So we saw that play out. I mean, they're 100% ideologues. The letter from the Pixar and everything like that. I mean, the whole company is filled with activists and ideologues now.
The SEC filings that warrant out, hey, we have agendas and so forth, and we
the Form 10K form, yeah.
Right.
And Film
we're
Threat
playing to our agendas, so.
Film Threat, because we always give credit where it's due, and Film Threat has just been killing it lately. Chris Gore, Alan Ing covering the D-Files, where they are getting information out of Disney. And I don't want to get ahead of their skis on this, because I don't know what they've made public yet, and I do know some of the stuff that they're planning to release. But I can just tell you that in terms of who is at Disney now, that they have filled their ranks with vermin and vitriolic people, and you can't produce great content when you have people who are filled with resentment. And that's what seems to me to be happening here. I think that's what is going on with spending money that doesn't have a good return.
Caesar, Caesar
Cesario JPN is going to be mine.
Cesario JPN. Sorry about that. I do apologize. $5. Libs of TikTok exclaiming on X that Disney is using grown men wearing dresses, on their homepage to advertise a marathon that could have children. Oh, interesting.
John, can you look and see if that's happening on your side, and we'll come back to that?
Yeah, I can look that up.
All right, Cesario, we will follow up on that. I don't have any information. That's the first time hearing of it. I'm also not shocked, so that says something about where we are in society, but we'll keep going.
That's tough. Any Phantom, member for 9 months, says cinemas are dying, but streaming is in its own world of hurt. 2024 has more in store for both. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the real loss here is going to be the small towns too. It's the Stillwater, Oklahomas that we talked about, right? It's the towns in Idaho. It's the towns in Indiana. It's the places that maybe you haven't heard of, but they're still wonderful places with wonderful people. They might have a theater that's got 4 screens. Those are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest, and that's where we could see the major losses. It's a real shame. John, any update on the marathon images? Anything there?
Yeah, you look in the private chat. It's the most recent one from Libs of TikTok. She wrote this. Disney is using grown men wearing dresses on their homepage to advertise an event of 5-year-olds, and there's at least 2 men dressed up as Belle and looks like Cinderella for
I'm just making sure before we put this up that we don't get ourselves in any trouble. Hang on, folks, as we do this live.
No problem.
Okay, we'll share it. Here we go. So here's what we've got. Going to Libs of TikTok right now. And we've got the marathon, the Princess Half Marathon Weekend for 2024. I guess that does give Disney some level of cover that it's the Princess Half Marathon. Maybe these guys are just having fun because they're in the Princess Marathon. Perhaps it's not any kind of socio-political statement. If you're Disney, though,
this image to promote
Yeah,
this,
you
though.
picked this
Like,
image.
well, that's what I was going to say. If you're Disney, you have lost our ability to defend you on these sorts of things. And your promotion, this kind of reminds me of the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique thing again, all over again. So, but that's Libs of TikTok. So absolutely. And who was I remember who sent that in? I'm having a brain lapse for a moment. Do you all remember who sent that in?
Was that Cesario JPM?
Cesario, thank you for sending that in. And we'll cover that as always. So, but yep, exactly.
Absolutely. Brian Tellish, $5 says, this Star Wars movie talk is more proxy fight defensive announcement than any real scripted or thought out film projects. Nobody wants a Rey feminist movie.
I would say the numbers who are interested are very low by virtue of what we expect the box office would be. Nick, you and I and the rest of the folks over on EBN, we debated what we thought Rey would make at the box office if it was released. I said that I thought it would come in at around 220, I think. 220, because I looked at it and said, well, it's not going to beat Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. It's probably not going to beat the Marvels. It's probably not going to beat Flash. Where did you think it?
That would have beat the Marvels, though, because the Marvels is at 200.
Okay, well,
199.
You have got to be kidding. I thought the Marvels had broke 200 by now.
Okay,
I stand corrected.
199.9.
Good Lord. I mean, Rey might not be. I don't want to say. Listen, people will think I'm crazy if I come out and say that the Rey movie would make sub 200. I can't do it. Nick, what would the Rey movie make if it was released into the wild?
Solo made what? A little over 300 million.
I'll get that number for you real quick.
Whatever.
Solo made 393.2 million USD.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it does half that.
All right, well, you're getting out that calculator, but I can do it if we round to 400. You're saying 200 then.
So I think it does do sub 200 million.
Oh gosh. All right, well, you get to be the crazy one who, if the drive-bys and the access media are paying attention, you get to be the one they cite in the news articles. It wasn't pro this time.
I 100% agree with Nick on that. I mean, just look at the.
You're in on it too now, John.
Yeah, you and Valiant point this out all the time that the subscriptions on Disney Plus are increasing quarter over quarter, yet the viewership for these Disney Plus shows is in decline. I mean,
how can it not be a Disney Plus show now? Listen, I don't see any. If they're going to make it, I can't see any way, John, that they make it and put it in the box office. The budget alone. How can you make a Star Wars movie in today's time with inflation that's going to have a budget that's under 175? And we're projecting that it'll make its production budget.
The one thing that does have going for it is Godzilla -1 did have a sub $15 million budget, and looks really good. So there are ways to make good films that are cheap. So
frankly, John, I am on board with sending Lucasfilm to Japan. I apologize to our Japanese viewers at this time.
Yeah, and don't forget, Gareth Edwards did The Creator, which looked excellent for under 100 million.
And conversely, if this doesn't work, we're happy to have Godzilla visit Lucasfilm. Either way.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Me and my monkey, member for 3 months. Thanks for all the great reporting, everyone. Well, thank you.
We worked very hard on it, but it's a joy. Promise.
That's right. Final Monkey member for 8 months. Will Mando pass the mantle to Grogu? Pedro exit.
I don't know on the Pedro Pascal thing because there's no, I don't think so. Because
and the thing
it's
is,
moving all around, right?
Pedro doesn't have to actually be on set. All he's got to do is voiceover. It's an easy.
He's got the greatest
paycheck
gig
for
ever.
him. I don't see him leaving that easy paycheck. You know,
listen, if Filoni's got a movie, if Filoni's got a movie coming out, then that's free movie money for Pedro.
Yeah.
So you got 2 movies now you're going to make movie money off of. There's no way Pedro wants out. Favreau, different story.
Favreau also said that the reason why he brought them back together is because he thought that they needed to be together. So
I never believed that for one moment. I have never thought that Favreau was telling the truth there. Not for a second.
No way.
I tend to believe him. So I know
you think that Favreau really thought, oh man, I got to get these 2. I think that they were told either because it's expensive or because it's prohibitive or, not to be conspiratorial, because they don't like him. I think they were told, hey, drop this Luke thing. We're tired of Luke. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that when Jon Favreau says stuff, I'm going to believe him until I see evidence that is contrary to that. And I mean, almost all the stuff that he said kind of like lines up. I mean, he's the one before the show even came out, the first season. It's leading up to the sequel trilogy. I mean, he seems to be in charge. I know I'm in the minority on that, but
well, listen,
I think
it's hard to not believe Jon Favreau. He's a likable guy.
Yeah.
He's very likable. So it's hard to not believe him when he says things. I mean, who else? Is there anyone else connected with Star Wars that we could believe? Well, at least there's one, so it makes you, wish to believe him.
Yeah, Emily
that
Swallow
said, that said, we want to celebrate again. Is This Live? Folks, if you were not here at the time, gifted 50 WDW Pro memberships. So many of you going to be a part of the party, the after party, I suppose, the Pro after party, when we switch this thing to members exclusive later on in the show. Thank you, Is This Live? That was so kind of you.
Ken Murphy became a YouTube member, so thank you so much for that.
That's right. Welcome aboard.
Changer of Ways donates $2. No Gina equals no ticket. Yeah, that's.
And I've heard somebody out there whose name will remain nameless who said Gina might even come back for this. Gina's not coming back. She doesn't want to come back. Even if they offered to her, she'd probably tell them to kick rocks F off. I don't see her coming back. No way. And I don't think Disney would even offer it to her in the first place.
Why would she want to come back to an abusive relationship?
Exactly. No way Gina's getting back involved with Star Wars.
Okay, think about it this way. They've done Gina dirty. If Gina comes back, Gina lines their pockets because suddenly fans will forgive and say, oh, look, they brought Gina back. Cara Dune's here. So that means that Star Wars is listening to us. Why would she want to participate in that?
Yeah.
Because she knows what they'll do to her as soon as she can be sacrificed once more. So no,
yeah, I think it harms her own brand too. Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aaron Glendening donates $5. Mando wakes up in Bob's golden shower and realizes season 3.
Easy now, the golden shower. Easy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
The shower is made of gold, like the tiles and so forth. That's what he's
Trump's
Aaron's
toilet.
referring to. Come
It
on.
looked like this.
Nice save, Vask.
Realizes season 3 and Book of Boba Fett was all a bad dream. Cue Dallas theme and opening crawl. Yeah, exactly, right? The whole season was just a dream.
That's right. Nothing but.
Big Blue Horses donates $5. Favreau has a mixed track record. Be careful thinking he's the guy. Jon Favreau decimated Shannara, and he did it smiling. Star Wars is in big trouble, JF included.
I think that, like we said before, if this was coming out and Book of Boba Fett and season 3 had not happened, this is a $1.5 billion movie.
Yes.
Because
Easily.
of those, and you want to talk about the degradation of the brand.
Yeah.
Because of those, this might be a $500 million movie.
And if Gina hadn't
700, I think, is the
fired.
minimum to be a success.
Gina getting fired was a big part of that too. So
That's
add
true.
that in there too.
That is absolutely true. 100%.
Moo Boy Moo became a YouTube member, so thank you so much for that.
That's
Definitely,
right.
for
Welcome,
sure.
welcome.
Mr. Brocrap Media gifted 5 WW Pro memberships. Thank you so much for that. And everybody in the chat, thanks you as well.
That's right.
That is
Thank
awesome.
you, Mr. Butt Crack Media. Extremely kind of you. And, on behalf of Pro Nation, we're happy to advertise for Mr. Butt Crack Media, an official partner.
Do you long for the days when plumbing was seen as a real virtuous job and you could find a plumber who would come and help you at any hour of the day? Well, let me tell you, friends, Mr. Butt Crack Media Plumbing is here for you, whether you need your rotors rooted or you need your toilet auged with a 6-foot, 12-foot, 20-foot auger. It doesn't matter. We can get a mature sheep out of your pipes. We'll get the juices flowing, I tell you. And don't forget.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Butt Crack Media. He'll keep the juices flowing.
Absolutely. Jeremy Whitfield, a member for 6 months. The Ray film will only make Tree Fitty.
Tree Fitty is
high.
optimistic.
Yeah, too high.
Slade Wilson, the censored man, $5.
No, Slade, he's lonely tonight.
Where is Jonas Gay Campbell? Is he not starring in the next Disney blockbuster, or starring in the next Disney blockbuster? Sorry about that. Well, he might be. That's the thing.
Wait a minute.
You see.
Wait a minute. Slade, I thought you and Wilton put Jonas in the oven. Am I not?
Wilton, you know you're not allowed in the kitchen. And, it smells like burning dog hair. What are you doing?
So apparently Slade forgot about their devious plan to toss Jonas in the oven. Slade, we're trying to heal him
Poor
back up.
Jonas.
He'll be back. And
He'll be
also, let me
back.
take this moment, too, to say there have been a lot of questions out there. Pro, what are you doing back in your normal time slot? Well, folks, we plan to be on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern once a month. And so these are going to be our special. We do an hour and a half, something like that, as a thing with everybody, and then we switch to members exclusive after that. And so we do these once a month. The news was so crazy that we said we're going to bump this up. Normally we do them at the end of the month. Let's do it now. There's no sense in waiting, and so that's what's going on.
Gotcha.
But we're happy to have everybody here, and of course the Pro Show live every Tuesday at noon Eastern. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Not for one moment.
That's right. Jim Jam with $10. Folks, do you think Disney's decision to turn the Star Wars Extended Universe into Legends was because they really had a strong vision for their own thing, or because they didn't want to actually read/research any of it? I can tell you my take on this. There was a couple of contradictions in Legends, and there was a couple of things that didn't quite work out there that they wanted to kind of get away from. And I think the side benefit is you could adapt some of those things into your own content, using that as like a pathway. Unfortunately, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy had the same vision there, saying, "Oh, there's no books to go off for any of these stories," or whatever she said all those years ago. So that is unfortunate. But I think they just wanted to go ahead, decanonize everything, clean slate, go on.
They threw George Lucas's treatments for 7, 8, and 9 in the garbage. So, and Iger admitted
Oh, I
to
think
that.
they're in a vault. I don't think they've destroyed them. I think they're in a vault somewhere, never to see the light of day.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because I would have loved to have seen those.
All the things you could have done. That is absolutely for sure. Do we have any more super chats there, Pro?
Absolutely. We'll keep moving.
Okay.
We've got
John Common for $5. Please, for the love of God, give Doomcock enough money to justify pushing the button on letting out Harvey Cthulhu so that he may stomp Lucasfilm.
Maybe Harvey can partner up with Godzilla.
Yeah.
The problem is
when Harvey, you can't put him back in the containment field. He won't
Exactly.
just destroy Lucasfilm.
That's
true.
right.
That's true.
All right.
Cesario JPN for $5. I can't wait for the adult film parodies of Steamboat Willie. It's only a matter of time. Some Brazilian is probably making, quote, Charleston Steamer Willie. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Well, it's...
That's what the intro music will sound like to those as well.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Phrasing. Brenton Lucas, $5. John and Jonas are very good at Devil's Advocate. Pro, would you consider more pseudo-debates with them where they stand in as the entertainment media?
Listen, we love debates. One of my favorite conversations we ever had on the channel was with Robert Meyer Burnett, talking about the singularity, talking about technology and the future of entertainment. So, yes, we love those high-level intellectual discussions, and I'm totally up for debating John and Jonas. The only problem is we agree on 90% of the stuff we talk about, so we'll have to find something that divides us. I think the one area, John, is that you don't see a path for redemption for Disney, and I would like to see eventually a turnaround from the company, but I would need to see almost everyone fired.
I think we agree. I 100% agree with you.
Darn it!
Yeah,
we still don't have a division.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Common ground, no.
Like everything needs to be changed. Like they need to have a complete change in leadership in order to save the company.
I agree.
We'll keep trying. We'll find something.
Paul Farrell, member for 2 months. Thank you so much there for
Absolutely.
sure.
Welcome.
Sutton Creek Productions gifted 1 WW Pro membership. Thank you so much there.
Very kind. It's always good to take a buddy into the Pro Lounge.
Absolutely. Changer of Ways for $2. Ray, $4 billion if Daisy dons Leia's bikini. Oh, well, that's the thing right there.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more likely that Adam Driver's Force Ghost does it, according to modern Star Wars. Do we need to go back to the marathon? I think not.
Ladies are present, but would she look as good? I don't know about that. Go ahead, Joe.
No.
I was going to point out, I do find it interesting that when she is actually wearing that outfit in Return of the Jedi, she's a slave to Jabba the
Right.
Hutt.
There's an appropriate narrative that makes it part of the story. It's not as if she's being exploited by the bad guy. That's the whole point, is that it is a bad guy.
Tigress immediately. No.
And as a connector of as a collector of figures that I've collected since I was a kid, they very quickly in the recent years have banned the slave girl Leia figure. You can't find it.
No, I remember talking to an artist right after Star Wars was acquired by Disney who wanted to do an interpretation of the, Carrie Fisher as Leia, or I'm sorry, Leia in the slave outfit or whatever. And he was flat out told no. And that was like 10 years ago now. Mm-hmm. So that's been the mantra from top down for a long time. So
absolutely no shot of Daisy being in that outfit.
Yeah, no shot at all. Kamchi for $2. Have you, I believe, Doomcock, about the bad news on Zelda?
Well, Kamchi, I would love to know what the bad news is on Zelda, but I'm not familiar with bad news. I do like the $1.99 combined with the Doomcock super chat, though. It's like the best of all worlds coming together. John, do you know anything? Do you know anything about bad news for Zelda?
No, I haven't looked into that. That might be something that I haven't seen yet.
I don't know all the details, but I know kind of the gist of it. Apparently, I guess Sony is going back and forth with Nintendo, trying to infuse a lot of woke stuff in the upcoming Zelda show, and Nintendo's not budging. They don't want to insert any of their ideas or ideologies or messaging in Zelda at all. So apparently, allegedly, there's a back and forth or some headbutting going on between Sony and Nintendo.
I had heard there was a request to have Zelda save Link.
Do you mean is it Universal? I thought the Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers was Universal.
So this gets very confused. I want to jump in here because
Please.
I need to enter into rumor and speculation territory here to explain this,
right?
Because of what my sources are saying. John, you've asked a question that if we believed only what we knew that is out in the public right now, here's what we've got. Sony is making a Zelda movie. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay. My understanding is that behind the scenes, there's still probably an animated Zelda movie happening from Universal, and that those are two simultaneous projects. I don't know that to be true. It's what I've been hearing. So apparently, if I'm understanding Nick right, Nintendo is not on board with some of the decisions Sony wants to make that are pushing Zelda into more a woke position. And Nintendo simply is, they hold all the cards.
Yes.
They're bigger than any of these movie companies in terms of the revenues that they can generate off these IPs.
Yeah, this is for the live action Zelda film, not the animated stuff that's going to tie in with the Mario Brothers movie.
By the way, any parks adaptation will also be off the animated versions or the video game versions.
And let's say this: if you want good Zelda news, Vash, is it public yet? We've been reporting on this as rumor and speculation that Zelda is coming to Islands of Adventure, the big theme park down in Orlando.
Yep.
Universal Studios has it. We've been saying that Zelda's going there. Is that public yet? I don't know.
Alicia Stella did just release a video and article suggesting that those plans are going forward, but that their timelines may have been adjusted because of the news that we are going to get to future.
Gotcha. Understand. During the member exclusive time, we've got a major piece of news there, folks. Make sure you remember to hear that. We'll be switching over momentarily.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got some major super chats here.
Whoa!
Now, before we keep going, we have such a bounty of super chats that for those of you who were not here at the very beginning of the show, let's celebrate one more time because there's over $100 in super chats and gifted memberships that are beginning right now, folks. You are so kind and so great. So celebrate with us together. That's right, folks. We just want to say thank you. You are the gigawatts. You make this happen.
Perfect.
All right, now we're ready.
NYC Livestream won with $66. Any chance Disney giving Tony Gilroy a Star Wars film? I know Andor didn't have the numbers, but the people that watched it enjoyed it, and people liked Rogue One as well.
I would put this far more likely than James Mangold getting a movie. And James Mangold is officially listed in the recent press release. John, I don't know what Nick's face looked like when I said that. He may disagree too, but your face said that you have a thought here. Maybe this is the great debate people have been waiting for. What do you got, John?
Yeah, I think they've cut back on the Andor. So it was supposed to be, 5 seasons or something like that. They reduced it to 3, and now it's only going to be 2. So I don't think that there's him continuing on, and I think he's probably done with Star Wars after this. He seems to be wanting to move on. If you listen to some of his interviews and things like that he said in the trades and stuff like that. So I doubt that he'll return in, as you said, as New York City live stream here points out, the numbers weren't good, and even Gilroy admitted that. He said he was chasing the audience, but what's crazy is that he had better finale numbers in season 1 than Ahsoka did. So,
did people see that interview with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss? Apparently, they were suggesting that the movie that they were working on was like the origins of the Jedi, and now we know that. Now we know that James Mangold is maybe working on that movie. So it's interesting.
Would James Mangold rip off other people? Yeah. Yeah, at this point, I mean, given his ethical, things that he did with Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, now James Mangold's name is mud. I'm sorry, it's absolutely mud.
It's mud.
Del Toro was originally working on the origins of the Jedi. Also,
I thought he was doing a Jabba the Hutt movie.
Yeah, he was doing a Jabba the Hutt movie, but apparently, I guess he was looking at doing origin story as well. That was 2017, I think. I don't know. It was a long time ago, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
Well, it's a common refrain now that more Star Wars has been announced than has actually happened by far. And the only reason, by the way, the only reason that I have been consistent in saying that I think the the Daisy Ridley movie will happen with Rey is because I think that was pushed from higher up than Lucasfilm. And you have to look at Bob Iger came back, and within 2 weeks, Daisy Ridley was at Lucasfilm. I don't think that's just coincidental.
Yeah.
That said, we're going to talk about this once we go to the member exclusive side of this thing. But I don't know what they're going to do if they can't get a movie that can make any money other than put it on Disney Plus. So NYC, thank you so much for the very, very kind and generous super chat. And we'll keep following this as well. And if we find anything else about Tony Gilroy and a future with Lucasfilm, we'll let you know. I still say more likely than James Mangold, but that's because logic prevails inside my noggin.
Absolutely.
Maybe not at Lucasfilm.
Retromeister for $20. Hey, Pro and crew. I've been listening to you off and on for a while now. Was first introduced to you by Clownfish TV on how spot on your info was in the past. I just want to say that it's no longer a Lucasfilm. It's Kennedy film. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Retromeister. Had a great time working for Pirates and Princesses and doing all of those great articles. That was a big-time start with 7 million readers during that time. And we wish all the very best to Clownfish TV. Who knows? Maybe we'll have Neon and Geeky Sparkles on at some point. I know they're super, super busy. But when it comes to Lucasfilm being Kennedy Film, I would suggest that Kennedy Film is a subsidiary of the Bob Iger Company, not the Walt Disney Company. Panel, your thoughts on that one?
Agreed.
That's so true.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Iger Film. I mean, and you just have to look at his memoir to see that. I mean, he talks about how he was actually shaping that first The Force Awakens film with J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, and I think it was Alan Horn at the time, and how he was the one who was having the discussions with George Lucas, and how he was the one who basically stabbed him in the back and vaulted the treatments and made sure that he got them and put them in that vault.
Yep.
And given the discussion we're going to have once we go to the member exclusive side of this thing, given what we're going to be talking about, and given what I think has happened with Disney and its IPs, folks, let's play a clip here. And I just want you to remember that the franchises are, well, you'll figure out which of the franchises and which is Bob Iger in this clip. Just watch.
Oh!
Why do you have that many Bidoofs in one ball?
I was out of Pokeballs. We need to get these guys to a Poke Center right away. Why? What would that do? So we can heal them? You can heal Pokemon? Oh, wow, I've just been throwing them away.
You are a dumb monster.
Yeah. To Disney, their IPs are the Bidoofs. They're the Bidoofs.
Mm-hmm. Tommy Tables gifted 10 WW Pro memberships. Thank you so much, Tommy.
Thank you,
appreciate
Tommy.
it right there.
And folks, Tommy will have an exclusive interview. Again, member only. It's a member exclusive interview. He'll be having a member spotlight that will be debuting tomorrow. Folks out there are now requesting to become part of the member spotlight as well as the Genre Guys conversations. So thank you so much, Tommy, for being part of that and for gifting so people can watch it. Magnanimous on both sides.
Thank you so much. And he comes in with a Canadian $5 super chat. John Trent, Vash, I can't find a listing for a DEI officer of that park place on the site anywhere. What gives? Yeah, exactly. John, we were in talks to hire somebody, right, for a little while there, and it just kind of fell through.
I don't recall those conversations at all.
Guys, when it comes to that announcement...
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
That's how we feel about announcing that sort of a thing.
Exactly. Right.
I don't know if we'd rather die, but it's pretty close.
Just can't get around to it. Slade Wilson, the Censored Man, $5. Can we have Jonas in the slave Leia outfit to save Star Wars? He loves being Ghey.
Answer?
Oh, boy.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, exactly. Changer of ways, $2.
I don't want to say that.
Well,
I don't wanna see it
hey, for enough money, we can do
Listen,
anything.
if
Just can't do
Disney can put forth artificially AI generated Grogu and Mandalorian images, we can get Jonas in a slave Leia costume. Don't you worry.
Changer of ways, $2. Sad to say, Sony is part of the woke Reich. So earlier on that park place, it was the Walt right versus the woke Reich. That's where that all comes from, right there. So it's very, very funny. Moonboy Moo for $5. I really hope Nintendo doesn't let woke Hollywood ruin Zelda. I love Zelda and hope that it will be great. We're all hoping for that, but
Nintendo has all the leverage. Nintendo is not going to let them destroy their
I
IPs.
hope so.
It won't happen. But thank you. Hope springs eternal when it comes to Nintendo.
Absolutely. Cube Gaming for $5. I hope Japan cracks the code, put a chick in it, and make her hot and well written. Oh yeah, there you go.
That's not how Disney does
Make it
things.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Not how things work. I'm so confused now.
Can I add to that?
Please.
Please.
put a guy in it and make him hot and masculine.
Ooh, well. That's
Makes the right
for the
choices.
ladies out there.
Equality for sure. Corbin Dallas, a member for 7 months. Remember, whites are not diverse. Yeah.
Except in a bowl of Lucky Charms.
Nice.
All right. That is the Super Chats. And folks, it's time for us to switch over to the member exclusive portion of the show. We are so thankful for everybody who stopped by for the public side of this. But it is time to begin what shall be a very... Whoop, we've got another Super Chat in. We'll get to it in just a moment. But what will be a very spicy secondary side of this. We're talking about the Ray movie not having a script, and we are talking about a huge announcement for Universal Studios. Major IP they have grabbed, and you do not want to miss it. But let's get this last remaining Super Chat that just came in.
Dragon Rider 256 donates $10. Just wanted to say I appreciate you guys and what you do. I am Bonies, who comes on your show. That's not on the panel. Okay, been watching you for a long time and wanted to contribute.
Well, Dragon Rider, it is so nice of you to contribute. Thank you so much. We never expect that out of our viewers, and we're always filled with an attitude of gratitude when people decide to do so. So thank you so much. And honestly, folks, just tuning into the videos when they release, if you tune into our videos in the first 10 minutes, it tells YouTube to spread the word. When you like and share and subscribe, it does an amazing thing for us. It really empowers the megaphone and hands us a microphone. And also, when you bookmark thatparkplace.com, which we believe and anticipate, and we know based on Jon's pedigree, it is going to explode over this next year. So make sure that you're an early adopter of that website, 100% for sure. And thank you, Dragon Rider.
I think Dragon Rider was trying to compliment people on the panel and both off the panel, everybody who contributes to this show. I also want to go ahead and thank the mods. Thank you so much, mods, for tuning in every single time and keeping the chat clean for us. Thank you so much.
That's right. I see Josh Hammond out there, and I've seen Olaf and others. D-Bud Martin is out there. And you know what, actually, D-Bud, because you're out there, I know what we're going to play. As we wrap up, folks, the show today and switch over to member exclusive, we're going to enjoy a little ad for one of our great mods out there. But we'll see you guys on the flip side of this thing if you're a member. And if not, it's been a great time having you. So for all of you out there who are not yet members, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Oh, pickles and onions. Plants can be a real pain, but not at D-Bud Martin's nursery. They've got all the plants you need, and they'll help you plant them too.
Miss Seymour?
Not you now. All the plants from D-Bud Martin's is just as nice and kind as they can be. Why, you'll buy them and say they're pretty darn swell. D-Bud Martin's. Lawn care and nursery.
All right. Well, folks, welcome to the member side of this now. Happy to have everybody joining us. And we are now live for members. And because of that, it's time to bring on our lovely panel. We've got some additions coming on right now. So let's get started. Here we go. Joining us, Views with Hughes, a fan favorite here on the channel. Hughes, it's been too long since we've had you on. I'm happy to have you now. And we've got some big topics to talk about. Hughes, your thoughts on the Star Wars news that's been breaking over the last 2 weeks, I suppose?
Well, I did make a video on the Shamil Obi-Chinoy thing where he being the director and having film experience. And
Hughes, do you think you can turn yourself up just a little bit?
A little low on the volume. Just a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, wow. Good. That is perfect. You sound
right.
like the movie trailer man.
I wish I had that voice, but not only with the whole Shamil Obi-Chinoy thing, that's when I completely lost my mind after that. But with yesterday, the whole announcement with the Mandalorian movie, the one thing I was thinking, and I agree with Red Tigress on this, and it's the part where Jon Favreau and everything. I honestly, I highly doubt that they're gonna let him actually take control of the movie, as much control as DC, Walter Amada gave to James Wan over Aquaman 2. Okay, this is going to be another repeat of, the season 3 of Mandalorian, okay, where he's now the employee rather than the employer and stuff. That's something that's going to happen.
Well said. Now, Hughes, where your gain was on your microphone and where it is now, put it halfway in between those 2 points.
For sure.
And we'll be good to go. We want to bring in also our latest PhD here. We have the one and only Dr. Kocho Dragon joining us. Kocho, how are you?
Kocho, what's going on?
Hey, I'm doing just a little heads up. My little Wi-Fi is having a little issue, so if I sound a little staticky or if I need to back out, that's because of it. So just want to give you guys a heads up because I'm not sure.
No worries at all. Happy to have you.
What's going on, but
we've also got quite the skeptic joining us, but an appropriate kind of skeptic. It is Lester of the Skeptic Tank. Welcome, sir.
Hello, guys. Hope you had a good rest of your 23 and your 24 is moving all right at this point.
It's moving and grooving, absolutely. We also have Marcus Squintess joining us. Marcus, hope you're doing well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and quite the radio voice there, Marcus. And let's also welcome in Jeremiah. And Jeremiah fills out a fantastic member-exclusive panel. Jeremiah, welcome aboard.
Hey, Pro. I'm glad to be here. I want to back you up on something. Doomcock said something recently that he said that actually I kind of believe it was that they want to because the aging technology costs too much money that they want to recast Luke, Lon, and Leia. I mean those 3. That it would cost too much to de-age those characters, and plus Carrie Fisher is dead, so it would cost way too much money. So the best option is to recast them. That way they can do a proper heir to the Empire, and you just confirm that that's what they're probably going to do. That's what Doomcock said. And actually, kind of it makes sense. And if that's the case, then yeah, that's what they're probably going to do, and that would line up with what you just reported on. So
yeah, we'll look into it and see what sources might say.
It might cost too much for them for what they're spending on it, but man, there's YouTubers out there that are doing this kind of stuff, and
the cost is rapidly dropping.
Yeah.
But that said, we're going to get into a topic now, and as we do, for those of you who are joining us, VI Pros and Premium level members, when you're not speaking, please mute your mics, and then when you're ready to add to the conversation, and that's only because we have so many people on the panel, so just make sure that you're muted while we are doing this, and then when you're ready to talk, hop on in. All right, well, let's get straight to it, and we're going back to that Park Place again. This time, we're going to be talking about the Rey movie and the fact that it does not have, seemingly, well, a script. So here's the article. This out of thatparkplace.com, again by John Trent, releasing today. Rumor, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy's new Jedi Order film starring Daisy Ridley does not have a script. A new rumor alleges that Stephen Knight, who was tapped to write a script for Charmin Obaid-Chinoy's new Jedi Order film starring Daisy Ridley as Rey, has not completed his script yet. That's a real problem, I would say. But let's read on and see what else we've got. This new rumor comes from Jason Ward again. He shared, today I was told that Knight hasn't got to get to it. The scheduling, the stars did not align. Stephen Knight was simply the person that if they picked up, who they could get in that moment, and then it never lined up. Ward clarified, not saying he's off of it, not saying he's going to write it or not going to write it. I don't know. He then shared his own thoughts, but if you wanted my opinion on it, I think Knight writing that movie is it's either been moved to give Knight the opportunity to write it or it's going to be a different writer. I mean, I know that that's saying nothing at all. I realize I did say nothing just now, but those are really the 2 options that are going forward based off what we got, I think, Ward said. Now, this lines up with what we were reporting days ago yet again, and that is, as we bring Kocho back onto the panel, that is that we had heard that there were 2 versions of the Rey movie script and that Disney wasn't pleased with either. Now, we know that David Lindelof was involved in this with the first iteration. The second part of this, though, with the Stephen Knight thing, I'm going to disagree a little bit with Jason Ward. I do think that Knight produced a script because we had a lot of reporting about that, in particular about him writing on it before the WGA strikes and then afterwards. So I do think that at least some work was done. We also know that Lindelof, based on some things we've seen, that Lindelof has already been credited as having been a collaborator on the movie and will likely receive official credit when the movie is done. And so because of that, I think there was a script at some point. There are those out there who are claiming that there's never been a script at all for the Rey movie. I don't think that's true. And I don't know how Charmin Obaid-Chinoy would say that it was going to be a feminist film if there was absolutely nothing available for her to make that kind of a claim. So tough to see how that could be true. I want to go to the panel, though. What do you all think about the idea that Rey, is in such dire straits that they came out with this announcement, and yet there doesn't appear to be any script that's actually ready for prime time? So I don't know how these things have a gestational period of about 3 years. I don't know how they're going to get this thing out by their new planned date, which is 2026. And I see we're having some internet issues for two of our panelists. We'll bring them back in just a moment. But panel, what do you think about this this idea that they made the announcement and we're like a year later? How long has it been? Maybe, we're about it a year later, and they still don't have anything. It's crazy.
I'm not surprised, honestly, because you've got a very activist female director. You think she's going to want a script written by a male? Unless she's going to be able, because remember what also she has put out there is she puts her activism into everything that she does. So there could be another agenda behind the scenes here of not only, he hasn't had a chance to do it. There may be some tension between whoever is writing the script and this director.
I can't see how there would not be tension between whoever's writing the script and this director. Charmin Obeid-Chinoy she is abrasive, I would say. I think she embraces being abrasive.
This woman makes me crazy. I do not like her. And as I don't know whether it was in a response to one of yours, I said, the worst thing you can call me these days is a feminist. I'm an independent woman. Call me a feminist. You have just insulted me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't Charmin Obeid-Chinoy, doesn't she also sit on the chair of like a WEF or something? Like it's
she's part of the Economic Forum, yes.
Yeah.
That's not the Walt Economic Forum, of course. That's
No.
the World Economic Forum.
And the thing is, she also did make a comment saying, what we have is something really special, talking about the story. So, they might not have a full-blown from start to finish working, ready to shoot script, but I guarantee you they got at least rough drafts, outlines ready to go on at least the story that they're wanting to tell. And that's probably just the details are probably being worked out or whatever. I'm guessing that's probably where they're at right now on it.
I think also they've probably been trying to figure out, because I don't think they can do the Rey movie without Grogu. And I've thought about this really hard because everything that's happened lately and what I had heard. Where I'm going with this is I don't think they can put Rey out there without another very popular character to try to draw an audience. I don't think Rey can carry a blockbuster by herself. I just don't think I don't think it's viable from a marketing standpoint. John, am I wrong?
I mean, I think you could go back. You're probably
Who else
right.
could you strap her to?
Yeah, I think that film is kind of dead on arrival. I don't think anyone's really interested in that except for like the super diehard Rey people. But even then,
there's so many of those.
What? I don't even know if there are, because a lot of those people were Rey Lows. They were Rey Lows.
Right.
They wanted Kylo Ren.
Right, and you killed him.
Adam Driver said, absolutely not. I'm done with Star Wars. I'm not coming back. And he said that multiple times.
And that's the desperation in that script we talked about before, John, where apparently they were going to have her be pregnant with the Force Ghost of Kylo Ren, and it was like, I can see why you would do that, because you need the Reylos, but you don't have the Low.
But did you notice it was going to be a female child?
Yes, I noticed that. Well, it had to be. Listen, she cannot give birth to a male prodigy. I mean, that's just not going to be allowed. There's no way. There's no way. Let's try to bring it back in our panelists who are having some internet issues. We've got Jeremiah and Marcus Squintess coming back to join us.
With Hughes, I think you're muted.
Yeah, Hughes, you're muted right now.
Sorry about that, Pro.
You're still muted, Views. Marcus, share with us your thoughts on the Rey script. I know it's a joy, isn't it?
I'm kind of out of work due to an injury, and I tell you what, even the pain meds that I'm on right now can't make this any better.
Sorry about that, bro.
That is what it is.
I'll pray for you.
I think I can't understand what the thinking is behind it. At the same time, everybody's saying that, the thought that, well, we're going to bring Favreau in to, kind of work its way in between everything to maybe boost everything back to something that might be deemed at least respectable. Of all of this, with the Favreau announcement, my question is, what is going through Favreau's mind? Is he doing this out of some sense of, do the right thing, which I hope that's what he's thinking, or is he just doing it for the, what the heck, they're going to pay me for it. I'll just be done and over with this once and for all.
It could be option C, contractual obligation.
True. So I guess that's where my curiosity on all of this lies.
That's kind of my thinking on this, Pro, is that there is a contractual obligation here, and it just might be a way to kind of see it through here. And I don't know if Favreau has a fun enough time with the project, maybe he stays on. But
he's contracted for 5, right? Vash, is he contracted for 5 seasons?
I don't know.
The reason I ask that is because if they transfer the 4th season into a movie,
right?
I don't know how he gets out of that without them paying a lot of money, and they'd probably rather he make it anyway because he's the only competent person they have left associated with the franchise, and that's not even a given that he can pull this off. So,
maybe they renegotiated that and said that, hey, maybe 2 counts for 1 in terms of movie / television show. I'm not sure how that would go, but I just can't see. We have heard that he had a hell of a time with Iron Man 2 and wasn't necessarily fond of that process of like starting this whole MCU thing and kind of wanted to concentrate on that movie. And some people have said that Chef was a response to that or whatever. I would think that it's either something he really believes in or there's a contractual obligation that has to be fulfilled. That's kind of my mentality behind it.
Agreed on that. I'll tell you one thing that's fascinating, not to do with Star Wars, but to do with having switched over to the member side of this. We now have so many members of this channel that our numbers did not significantly drop. Most of you are still watching, and that's due to the kindness, of course, of those gifting memberships, but as well, so many of you opting and choosing to be a subscribed member. We're happy for you. Because of that, I want to make sure that we hit these super chats that are still coming in. Zany and Crazy, I know, we're happy to have them. But folks, this is all about you now with the member exclusive side of this. So happy to see this. Descripto for 2. Vash, could you read that one for us?
Yes, for €2. JP did crack the code when creating cat boys / girls.
There you go, JP. Japan, not Jordan Peterson, right?
I believe could be. Yeah,
Pro.
Yeah.
Talking about Japan. He's talking about our previous conversation that we had about
Gotcha,
Japan cracking the code. Yeah.
Jeremiah, what's up?
Don't forget to set up a link to right after this Midnight's Edge After Dark. They should be starting up they should start right about now. So gotta remember that. And Nick, don't you have a stream to get to in about less than 15 minutes?
Yeah, ours starts in 50.
Gotta remind you.
I was actually just messaging Pro in the private chat. I'm actually about to bow out. I gotta go get something to eat, and I gotta finish up some work stuff before I try to get onto our stream over at Echo Base Network. So
let me tell you now, that is service right there. Jeremiah is a producer in training. My gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you for being on here, and we surely do appreciate you taking the time.
Yep. Thanks for the invite, Pro. Good to see all you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks so much, Nick. Do appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you, brother.
Charge of the Comic number 2 with Canadian $2. Nintendo, we don't play games, we make them. Sony. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully
Sony's in an interesting spot. Whoa. They're dominating for the more mature console offering, and yet both Sony and Microsoft trailing significantly what Nintendo is doing with with antiquated hardware. So Nintendo does a great job of repackaging older hardware into a new experience. Really, really cool thing they do.
The Switch
I mean,
has so many different options for older games that they've brought on that Sony and Xbox don't have. Like you can go back and play a lot of the old Japanese role-playing games that weren't even available here in the United States that they've been able to port. And it's just way better storytelling and way better games than what is currently being pushed, which is pretty much what like Call of Duty.
That explains why you text me at 3 a.m. about Fire Emblem. Now I get it. I see what's going on.
Heath Nielsen, member for 2 months. It is time for Appleoff.
Library.
Say it one more time, Vash.
I do apologize. Heath Nielsen, member for 2 months. It is time for Appleoff.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Love it. And thank you, Heath, for sending that in. All right. Well, let's talk about our final topic of the evening. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We had a super chat that showed, but it's already been played, so that's what's going on. All right, well, let's get to our final topic of the evening, which is, and this is huge, folks. I mean, this is major, and that is that Universal Studios is looking to pick up in Orlando Pokemon. That's right, Pokemon. This is as big a deal, I think, as Super Nintendo World. Let's go to it and read now. This out of Orlando Park Stop.
This is bigger than Harry Potter, or as big.
Yes. And here's the other thing. This is something. And this happens from time to time. I'm going to shift the way that we've got the screen looking, but we get more real estate there. I have known about this now for a while. And I was told by multiple people, maybe even Vash. I don't remember, Vash, if you told me this. But I was told to shut up and not say a word about this.
Yep.
I was forbidden from breaking this scoop. And so I'm glad that it's out there now. I wish we could have broken it, but every once in a while we get information and we're told you can know about this, but you can't talk about this. It's too risky. And so this is one that we've been sitting on for a while. We've made some jokes about
relationships in which, if we want to continue to cultivate them and continue to have them on, we're forbidden from saying anything. So
we've made some jokes, but here it is. This coming out today. And hopefully Orlando Park Stop is not one of those sites that has those sources and has burned them. We hope they're not the ones who did this. But anyway, Universal Orlando rumors. Pokemon replacing Simpsons, Zelda in Lost Continent, and Luigi's Mansion for Epic Universe. We've reported on Zelda in Lost Continent before. Luigi's Mansion is something that they've talked about. Vash, you and Jonas over on That Part Place, the YouTube channel. But Pokemon replacing Simpsons, this is big, and we're going to show you why in just a moment.
Yep.
The first Nintendo-based land for Universal Orlando will open at Epic Universe next year, but rumors suggest we may see additional lands based on video game franchises in the coming years as well. Pokemon is now rumored to replace The Simpsons in Universal Studios Florida. Zelda is expected to take over Lost Continent and Islands of Adventure, and we may even see Luigi's Mansion added to Epic Universe. And then they have the link to the website. Vash, talk to us for a moment about why this is such a big deal to have The Simpsons replaced with Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a huge deal because a lot of people were kind of wondering what was going to happen with The Simpsons now that, well, Disney has owns them through the Fox acquisition back in 2019. Now, this contract is not perpetual, unlike the Marvel contract, for example, which, that just goes into infinitum, basically, until some side reaches an agreement on what's going to happen there. This was a contract that was going to expire in 2028. So a lot of the rumors and suggestions were what would be replacing this potentially on both coasts. Well, we do know for a fact that Pokemon is going to make its way into Universal Japan, taking over the Spider-Man attraction over there. So one could conclude, well, maybe, Disney and Universal could come to some agreement in order to facilitate the change out of the Spider-Man over there in Islands of Adventure. But it turns out it looks like they are going this route to replace the Simpsons ride on maybe potentially both coasts with Pokemon itself, and it could extend into a brand new land. We were looking at the Fast and Furious coaster concept artwork, for example, on Universal Studios Hollywood. And we were seeing, well, why isn't Simpsons there? So the writing was on the wall here. It looks like, according to Alicia Stella and what she's hearing here, it looks like Pokemon is going to be the draw here, and that could facilitate the changing out of a bunch of things. As you'll know, that Park Place has been reporting that this section of the park hasn't necessarily been opening on time with the rest of the park because, well, there's little demand for the attractions over there. So this could facilitate a big new expansion, replacement for various areas of this park, and be the draw that Universal so desperately wants for this area of the park.
So let's explore that, folks. Universal Studios proper is next to, of course, you go across the City Walk and you're in Islands of Adventure. Epic Universe is going to be close to these parks, but it's not completely connected. But Universal Studios struggling mightily versus Islands of Adventure. Islands of Adventure also getting Zelda. So we all thought, well, shoot, this is going to be a dead park outside of the very small additional Harry Potter land that is in Universal Studios proper. Now... And by the way, lots of people out there think that Pokemon is owned by Nintendo. That's not the case. So Universal is doing a fabulous job of picking up contracts. So let's take a look at this. What we're saying is that from where this street here begins, right? This is Springfield. Right. What we're talking about is from this street over, and including Krusty Land, which is where the Simpsons ride is located, and was once the Back to the Future ride, but also... this could potentially include the Men in Black ride, and it could include this area backstage, which is used for all kinds of housings and offices and all that sort of thing. Look at all this land that they could open up. You're talking about from here all the way over to the Perimeter Road, all of that being turned into a Pokemon area. And I am hearing, Vash, don't know this for sure yet, speculation on my part, but I am hearing that the Simpsons ride could be turned into Poke Stadium. So you look at all of this land. This is potentially bigger than Galaxy's Edge. This is a huge expansion if it happens. And frankly, this is exactly what Universal needs to take down the Walt Disney World Resort in terms of being the biggest theme park resort in Orlando. And I think they now have a very strong potential of that happening. Your thoughts?
I mean, we have seen double-digit returns from just Super Nintendo alone, and that's not even just that's not even with Epic Universe. That's just at the two existing parks where that currently exists, and we've seen huge numbers. They get Pokemon. I mean, the sky is the limit on this. By the way, we have some breaking news there, Pro. So let's get what the panelists have to say, and we'll get to that a little bit.
Talking about this news that we've got right now breaking, of course. Views with Hughes, what do you think about the idea that Universal Studios has picked up the entire Pokemon franchise to add to Nintendo? And yes, Jeremiah, I see you might be a fan as well. Anybody who's played Pokemon Go or Smash Brothers is going to love this. Of course, the original card game as well.
This is my 3DS. It's got Nintendo Ruby Out Sapphire. And I would agree with you. Yeah, I'm a Christian, but I'm into Pokemon. It's like Jonas Kids. I mean, Pokemon, for me, person who has Asperger's, and anybody wants to know, the creator of Pokemon has Asperger's. So if you want to ask me why he created these weird-ass Pokemon, there you go. That would give you a big deal why he makes so much money off of this stuff. So
that's right. And
it's a lot of money. I mean, hey, you're mentioning it's let me put it this way. Universal is going to eat Disney's lunch for dinner. That's how it looks.
Absolutely.
What else can you say?
And there's an interesting thing, and I don't want to go too far into this particular topic, except to say it's interesting to me because I have someone who is very dear to me who has level 2 autism, and they love Pokemon Go. They love it. And so I always appreciate that people who are differently abled in all kinds of areas and have proclivities for expertise in ways that my mind doesn't always function. Sometimes I'm jealous of the way that people can become experts in areas, but it's not lost on me how much different individuals love the variety of Pokemon and the strategies of Pokemon in a way that I don't always appreciate, but I wish I could. Hughes, though, I want to go back to you again. I know you've been having some mic problems. Hughes, what do you think about this huge news that Universal picking up Pokemon to go along with their Nintendo world, but in a different park?
I mean, to me, it's not that much of a surprise because they already got Mario, which is another in Nintendo IP. They've also got, even they even got Warner Brothers Harry Potter attraction there as well. So it's not much of a surprise to me and everything. It's good, but guess what? Just like everybody else has said, including our guest here, that the universe is going to eat Disney for lunch. Okay, because of the simple fact that Disney doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to properly work the IPs and everything that we've known so well, like the Lucasfilm brand, even Marvel and stuff. And it's like now we see Universal picking up several different IPs left and right, and all of a sudden, simple one to entertain. Why? Because unlike Disney, Universal knows a customer, and who's the customer? Parents, not the kids. Parents, okay? Parents are the ones who decide what their children can watch and what they shouldn't watch, as well as the fact that they're the ones who's there to teach them the things of life as well as pursuit of happiness, okay? It's not up to Disney to do that. It's not up to these other, it's not even up to TikTok to do this as well. It's all up to the parents. And guess what? Parents nowadays, they're looking to go ahead and take control of that and make sure that no one else is looking to influence their children. Okay? Now, granted, some of them may have to be better influence to their kids and everything, but it's up to the parents to be the influence to the children, and that starts with what they're watching. Okay? Universal is basically they did make more money than Disney has, Disney spent more money, yet Universal made more back. Ain't that ironic?
It is absolutely. And guys, I'm debating what to do. We've had a story that has just literally broken.
Yep.
And I didn't want to take away our time from covering this. At the same time, we've never tried this before. I think that we might actually go back into being fully public for about 15 minutes to cover this topic. I don't know how many people will rejoin us.
Wow.
I don't want to offend the members out there who, this is your time. This is your member exclusive live stream. At the same time, the news that is breaking is so big that I feel like we need to go back public. So let's do this. Folks, you're the gigawatts out there. Let me put a poll out and you all vote on this. Let's see.
Yeah.
Go ahead and continue on the conversation for just a moment as we get this ready.
No problem, Pro. As you're continuing to type the stuff up here, does anybody else have maybe thoughts on this? And there's a big IP here.
I think it's just a matter of, because in all honesty, I checked out of The Simpsons. Don't remember when, but I checked out a long time ago. Pokemon is not my jam, but it's the jam of many others, and Jeremiah did a nice testimonial there about what Pokemon meant to him, and it still means something to many others. And then Super Nintendo World, it's like Universal knows what to invest in, and the thing about Nintendo is, they talk about Sony and Microsoft, that to have a good product, it doesn't mean you have to have the best hardware. You just have to provide the best experience, whatever experience you want to provide. And so I think about my experience at SeaWorld, having been raised in San Diego for as long as I was, and San Diego is a regular thing. And I know I went there with my family knowing it was more for my niece, but for someone of my age, I still found something in SeaWorld relevant. I can go on a roller coaster, even though it might not be like Six Flags level, but it was something for me that I had an option, that I could either do a roller coaster or I can do one of those rides where it's kind of like Splash Mountain, but knowing that SeaWorld has things to cater to people who may not be interested in looking in front of a penguin display or Shamu, that there are other things that we can do. And that's just from my experience, having gone to Disneyland, Universal as a kid, and then going to Six Flags. something for other people to do other than what might be the intended audience. So Disneyland, I think I checked out of Disneyland, except for maybe California Adventures, because that's where a lot more, I guess you could say, older people rides are there. So that just means that Universal is just doing it smartly, in my mind, based on what we're seeing. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Absolutely. And speaking of smartly, we've never had this happen before. A unanimous vote that you all would. This is so kind of you all. Your members, this is your time. If you had said no, we would have kept going and made this member exclusive. But you all said it's okay with a 100% vote to go back public after only 25 minutes of your member exclusive time. I am blown away by how kind of a community we are building here, folks. Thank you so much. And also, before we switch over, I just want to say, too, that I thought it was a very beautiful thing. I read all of the chats as they were coming through, seeing so many of you who either are or who know people who are differently abled, and the love and the beauty and the care that you all have. That was such a lovely thing to see all of you sharing experiences and how Pokemon and other IPs have touched you and those others in your lives who would fit that sort of a category. Thank you so much for that. Now, I do want to say that because we're going to go public, we're going to pair back on the panel because this may be needed for clips and that sort of thing for future videos. So we're going to cut back down to John, Hughes, Vash, Red Tigress, and myself. We don't want to be offensive at all to Kocho or Marcus or Lester. It's just when we do these public things, we need to have a little bit of a smaller panel. So we are going to cut. Folks, we'll be back with the information and the breaking news. Yeah, it has to do with that.
Yeah, basically.
All right, folks, we'll see you in just a moment. Hang tight. And
well, I'm going to bounce out for the rest of the show. So thanks for letting me on, guys.
It's a pleasure as always.
Things are going down the crapper. It's not good for investors. It's not just one bad decision. You're getting a golden tree in. Dang it, Bob! Your spending's been illegal. Your leadership is fatal. We expect more leaks and rumors. Makes no sense hiring. Disney is so unstable. What's the profitability timetable? It's time to fire Iger. This is just another Budweiser. Dang it, Bob!
All right, folks, welcome back. If you are just joining us or if you're just seeing this, yep, we're live again. This was not what we anticipated. At 7:23 p.m. Eastern Time, we don't often think that we're going to be breaking news, but breaking news happened, and we'll get right to it. Amazing that this is happening. Not amazing for the people who are affected by this. We're not trying to take any kind of joy at the loss of others. But the super chat came in from Jonas. Never heard of this guy before. Not sure why he's sitting in a $1.99. Maybe he's a Geeks and Gamers guy. I don't know. Pixar layoffs. Check your DMs. We also had a member chat come in from Ironcaster. Pokemon is the world's top brand. Over 1,000 critter. Yes, absolutely agree. But let's get to it right now with the breaking news as it's happening. And here we go. This out of Reuters. Coming out at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, Disney-owned animation studio Pixar poised to undergo layoffs in 2024. This from originally TechCrunch, I suppose, and this is not surprising at all. It's number one, not surprising because of the last 2 years that Pixar has had. They've been absolutely horrendous. Pixar also, this is not good timing for Pixar, but it really may speak to why it may speak to Disney just being stuck because Disney's about to release 3 Pixar movies into theaters, and this is breaking literally. Hang on a second. This is, guys, am I mistaken? Is this literally the day that Soul is hitting theaters? Did Soul hit theaters today? Somebody check that for me.
I'm gonna check it right now.
Check it, please. If we get this announcement on the exact same date that Soul hits theaters, that is a kidney punch. Walt Disney owned animation
January
studio
12th.
Pixar.
It's released tomorrow.
So
well,
tomorrow.
if no,
Oh
well,
shoot!
but if it's open tomorrow, I don't know.
It should
how
be
this is-
previewing tonight.
Right, it might get in, depending on where you are. So this is just a gut punch. Walt Disney-owned animation studio Pixar is set to undergo layoffs as high as 20% this year. TechCrunch reported on Thursday, citing the company. Wow. The job cuts would see Pixar's team of 1,300 reduced to 1,000 over the coming months. That's not small. TechCrunch reported. So, wow. Citing sources at the company. Again, citing sources. According to the online paper, Pixar said those employee numbers were too high. Okay. The studio said the number of impacted employees were still being determined due to factors like production schedules and staffing for future greenlit films, the report added, which would indicate that maybe this is just the beginning. That's really something, too. Layoffs were not imminent, but will take place later this year as Pixar focuses on making less content. That also is brand new.
Yeah.
So all of this breaking, and folks, if you're just returning, we went back live. We had to end the member stream because of this breaking news. This is really something. So we have watched Pixar fail dramatically. We have discussed here on this channel in the past that perhaps they're looking at, even if it's not publicly done, even if it's behind the scenes, perhaps they would integrate Pixar and Disney Animation Studios together and streamline what they're doing. This would be the way that would happen if it is occurring. I don't know that it is, but wow, what a story breaking 20%. This is the sort of thing, we've been reporting. Well, we were going to report, I guess, this weekend. We may have to change it on Amazon Prime Video doing layoffs, and that seems to be correlated with Lord of the Rings, even despite Amazon Prime surpassing Disney Plus easily as the number 2 streamer in the world. But this is huge news. Panel, I'm going to turn it over to you and see what you all think about this. Starting with John, I guess. John, what are your thoughts on Pixar now looking at 20% job layoffs?
Yeah, I don't think this is really surprising. I think this is something that we kind of expected. We had reports of this coming in after the kind of the SAG after the strikes and all that stuff, that there would be contractions in the number of productions that were being put out, and so that obviously would mean probably job loss. And we're seeing that. Obviously, you mentioned Prime Video, and now we're seeing it with Pixar. One can only expect that we will see this from other studios as well. So it's not. I don't think it's very out of the blue or very surprising. It is kind of a product of the strikes and the deal that they struck, and the studios cutting back on a lot of the productions that they were doing. They're no longer chasing that the Wall Street carrot that had been stuck out in front of them with a lot of those streaming platform carrot that they had been chasing. Wall Street is now saying, where are your profits at? So, and they're having to adjust accordingly. And so it's a shame that some of these people are probably getting let go. They're probably good, hard workers. And they're probably not the people that do need to be fired, which is the people that have made these atrocious decisions, such as the people behind the Lightyear film, the people behind Turning Red, et cetera, that have seen these abysmal flops at the box office. Those are the people that are probably still be there, still be in charge, and they're going to be letting go the people who are kind of keeping their head down, getting the work done, and moving on. I assume that they're probably not going to be firing a lot of their activists and ideologues that are embedded there.
How could this happen if this isn't also happening at Disney Animation? Because Disney Animation Studios just had a horrible experience with Wish. Let's get into this now. And we've got, this is amazing that this is coming out and cited by the company. I don't know what's going on at Disney. They've lost their minds. Because on the exact same day, John, you sent this over to me. This is an official release by the Walt Disney Company. We're on the Walt Disney Company's website. Pixar's Pete Docter on why he's excited for Soul Luca and Turning Red to hit theaters. Talk about whistling past the graveyard. 3 films from Disney and Pixar are coming to movie theaters for the first time ever, and Pete Docter is eager for fans to see them in a new way. 2020's Soul, 2021's Luca, and 2022's Turning Red are having special engagement theatrical runs this year, with Soul hitting theaters this weekend. We covered in a video earlier this week, by the way, folks, that if you go watch these, Disney will give you a free ticket to Inside Out 2. That's how desperate they are. We chatted with Doctor about how the theatrical experience adds to the films, which one is best to see in theaters, and why Anxiety could be the breakout star of this summer's Inside Out 2. Probably a good idea to ask, is this also a chance for our utter downfall The idea that kids are going to be hugging anxiety plushies. That just doesn't seem to me to be a good idea. That said, wow.
Do we think Pete Docter knew? I mean,
Pete Docter. There's
Yeah.
no way Pete Docter didn't know.
Okay.
Rumor and
Well-
speculation, but human wisdom and logic would have to say.
So then maybe he was excited that this was going to be the most content offering coming from Pixar in a while. That's why he was excited. I mean, look, Elemental underperformed at the box office, right? We had a Wish take 7 weeks to break the $200 million
Wish is
mark.
at Disney Animation.
Lightyear.
You got to be freaking out if you're Disney Animation. If you're
Yeah.
Disney Animation right now, you're as freaked out as Pixar, because at least Pixar knows it's 20%. Disney
Well-
Animation people don't even know what number it might be.
And that could be, I mean, you know, we've seen that they want to reduce animation budgets going forward right here. We saw we saw Migration coming out of Illumination take Universal over the edge in order to bring that entire studio to eclipse Disney in the annual box office gross right there. Like, you know, and that film was produced for $75 million. If they can do it, maybe so can we. And this is the first step in doing that. Do we necessarily think that this is like the first step in maybe merging these studios?
Oh, I think it's a definite possibility at this point, even if they don't do it publicly.
Yeah.
Hughes, you were bringing up some of these movies that have failed.
Hughes, I stated Lightyear. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, well, you're good. You're good. And I think we lost Hughes.
Right when he was gonna
Right
go.
at the wrong time. Hughes, I'm so
well-
sorry. You're not working.
I'm back.
out.
I'm back. I'm back.
Okay,
I'm
go
back.
Okay, go for it, Hughes. What are you thinking?
Wi-Fi issues over here on my end too. So I not only is Pixar laying off people, but I did make a video on this 1 day ago. BlackRock is also laying off 600 of its employees as well. So this may be like the continuing slow death of woke in Hollywood, okay, or possibly in general. But Pixar, I expected these layoffs to come. I didn't expect it like to happen so soon, but at the same time, it does seem like a little bit of a long time in the making and everything. But it's like, this is what happens though. And I'm also like what John Trent brought up something else and everything. Well, but it also makes me wonder how many people who works for Pixar and everything are those who are DEI hires. And I'm not talking about those just because they're female, black, minority, certain gender, so on and so forth. No, I'm talking about those who are actively promoting DEI out there, okay? Trying to promote the agenda itself, trying to promote it throughout everything. I'm wondering exactly how many of those individuals are. They didn't announce, which section of Pixar it is. They didn't announce like which population, but they also stated that in the article from Reuters that you shared, they're starting off with like 1,300 employees, and then later on in the coming months, another 1,000. So,
Hughes, what you bring up, this is actually, I had not thought of this. When we're looking at the firing practices of Hollywood, we know the hiring practices. We know that Hollywood has been, and Disney and the WGA and all of them, they're obsessed with hiring based on immutable differences. We
Instead
don't
of
know
merit.
how the firing will happen, right? And I would say too that at the very least, these layoffs are likely the consequence of failure. It turns out that failure has a real and pragmatic effect, and that you should avoid at all costs. And the people who have been gib about these movies, and they think that, oh, well, it's art. It doesn't matter how it does in the box office. It's doing fine on Disney Plus. Remember all the arguments that, well, these are Disney Plus shows. They're doing great on streaming.
Watch the trades out there try to defend Disney as well, as try to steal away from this and everything from Pixar being like layoffs happening. Who's next? That's what I'm wondering. Who's next? Could it be Marvel? Could it be Lucasfilm? Who's next? That's what I'm wondering. Could it be Disney Plus employees being fired as well?
Tigress, your thoughts on where Pixar is versus where it was just a few years ago?
I find it sad. I'm not surprised it's happening. It's just, I hate to see people losing their jobs.
Absolutely. No fun.
Because full well, the people who are losing their jobs are the ones that draw. It's not, as I think John brought up, it's not the ones that are making the decisions. It's not the ones that potentially are putting together the stories. It's the ones that are doing the actual creation. But, you give people something that they don't want, eventually people are going to walk away. And Hughes seems to be having a fit over something.
She just brought up a good point that just made me think, what if they're trying to integrate AI now?
Well, I'm sure they are trying to integrate AI, and that's what Disney was pushing for during the negotiations over the past year. But
apparently we're going to have a shareholders vote on it, right?
One of the things...
Yeah, this is what happens when you fire John Lasseter.
Yes, and perhaps the unionization attempts have had an impact as well. All of that said, one of the things that Film Threat has been talking about with their D-Files, and folks, we recommend you go check out Film Threat for sure. They've been doing just a fantastic job. They have discovered through people who've been talking to them that it looks like the workforce at Pixar and perhaps Disney Animation Studios had become so partisan, we'll just say that, so ideologically driven, that they would often have to outsource the animation to other companies because their animators refused to do the work when it wasn't aligned with their beliefs. John, as we, I guess, wrap up the show today, your final thoughts on Pixar. You have been covering this for years. We have now come to the culmination of collapse, and this is what it looks like, and it sucks for the people who lose their jobs, and it's why you should chase success at every possible place.
Yeah, you don't you're not laying off 20% of your workforce if your product is being profitable and your division is doing really well. At least not, you wouldn't typically do that. Obviously, I know in these days and times, sometimes they do that because they want to increase their profit margin, which I think is a little greedy and unethical and immoral. But I don't think this is the case. I think we see a clear example of multiple failures over the course of the past 5 years, and this is what happens. That you end up having to cut jobs and you end up having to shrink. And we've seen Bob Iger say this over the past year and a half, ever since he's kind of been back, that they're going to be cutting back on the number of productions that they're going to be doing. They're going to be scaling back on a lot of their costs. And obviously, one of the big things that companies have that are costs are the human capital costs. And so that's what they're going to be cutting back. So I expect Pixar is just the first. I think, as Hughes pointed out, I think we're probably going to see Disney animation cuts. I would not be surprised if we see Lucasfilm cuts. We already kind of saw some of that a little bit when in some of the Ahsoka post interviews. I think it was kind of got buried, but one of their production guys said that the costs had been significantly reduced for Ahsoka, which was kind of surprising to me, given the fact that we had just heard Katie Sackhoff talk about how their catering budgets were so high on The Mandalorian. So I think Disney is cutting back across the board. And that is in response to the Wall Street money men basically saying, "Hey, you got to be profitable now," and they're not going to let these companies kind of just spend absolute insane amounts of money chasing subscribers. It's about like, what is your actual return on investment now, and that's what people are looking for, and that's kind of what's coming. And I do think this is also in reaction to Peltz and his move, and he probably has a lot to do with this as well. He's putting a lot of pressure on them. One of the big things that he has stated, we know publicly that he has stated, is the fact that he thinks that the Walt Disney Company's creative engine has absolutely failed. That is something that we've talked about for years. And I think he's absolutely right. And in order to change that creative engine, you have to change the people that are there. So maybe they do indeed change some of their creatives, change some of their storytellers, but I haven't seen that yet with the Walt Disney Company.
The fear is that they'll fire the innocent people who had their head down trying to do a good job. But folks,
hang on. We have evidence of that. So we have it. They fired Ike Perlmutter last year. Amid their cuts last year that they were doing. Remember, they had those huge cuts, and he was the guy who was trying to cut costs. And now he's allied himself with Peltz.
Oh no, I just want to give a quick shout out to Darbin in the chat and stuff where it says that companies seem to forget ROI.
A lot of people said that Elemental.
I'll tell you that. Yeah.
A lot of people said that Elemental made money, and it's like, okay, well, I had it lose $100 million. People came at me and saying, your math is wrong and all this kind of stuff.
They're firing people because it did so great, Vash.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You don't lay off as much as 20%. If that film actually did well right there. And by the way, this flies in the face of what Bob Iger was saying. He was like, "Oh, we're done with the fixing. Now we're in the building mode." Well, apparently not. And this is right before quarterly earnings report right here, and before the annual shareholders meeting. So this absolutely has to do with Nelson Peltz and the financials atrophying the company right now.
Woke doesn't work, and if you go woke, you don't work. That's I think what we have learned here. There is an exception. That's if you have an extremely feminine brand such as Barbie. It can work there. But,
and for a
folks, if you want to
time.
go full on woke, if you want to go full on woke, there's a cost association now, and I don't think it's worth it. John, you had a thought there?
Yeah, I think that the Barbie worked mainly based on the IP brand, and I think you can probably get it in there for a little bit on that kind of brand recognition. But once people sniff it out, it's an absolute loser in the long term.
I agree, and I think that's why they don't want to do a Barbie sequel. Is I'm not sure that it would have the same wins that this one had. The marketing was fantastic.
No, it's Captain Marvel 2.0.
Yeah,
What happened with the Marvels?
And they do not want to set it up for that. All right, well, folks, Pixar dropping 20% of their workforce minimum because they're leaving the door open for more after this year. Very sad for those folks who are losing their jobs, but not unforeseen. And unfortunately, if you were reading the Access drive-by corporate media, you would not have seen this coming. If you follow this channel and channels such as what we have in our orbit, then it makes total perfect sense. Cognitive dissonance about to set in for those who just could not understand that Disney is actually failing. Let's go to Super Chats now as we wrap up. Deborah Young for $10. Vash, read it for us, please.
Just got in here because of the thumbnail, and all I can say is maddening? No, not the Wicked Witch Hunt of the World.
Absolutely.
A couple of
thumbnail done by Fat Steven. He does all of our art assets. What a job he does. Just tremendous. And if you were wondering, Debbie, why we're down to 530, which is a great number for many channels out there, and we're appreciative. It's because we went to member exclusive. We were done for the night, and then the news broke about Pixar, and unanimous vote by the members to go back live publicly for everybody to view. And I think it was the right decision to do. But we don't want to hold too much longer because we are cutting into some of our friends' shows out there.
Right.
And
I think
we're going to be sending you all to Midnight's Edge After Dark in just a moment.
I think John has to go here. John, did you want to say anything?
We're literally wrapping up right now. Darth Maul's lower half. Lassiter greets ex-Pixar employees with free hugs. Ouch.
Oh, ouch.
Ouch. All right, folks. Please go and subscribe to all of our great panelists. Check out thatparkplace.com where John F. Trent is editor-in-chief. He does a phenomenal job. And check out Vash Sky over on thatparkplace.com as well as Views with Who's, your agenda-free news. All right, folks. It's a wrap. It's in the can. It's done. Normally we play the Gigawatts and the Blues Brothers and all that, but we went so far over, it's just time to hit that button.